your thunderstorm warning, but as always, it's important that you keep those just as important and strong of a kind of impact as you do with tornado warnings, because we could be dealing with wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour there. So this is with the severe thunderstorm warning that's also in place until 8 o'clock this evening. We'll be watching that closely, but let's move back over to the tornado warning and the reason that we did hop on air here. So I'm going to zoom back over to the LaGrange area. You're seeing a little bit of those reds and greens trying to be picked up here on the map, and I'm going to go back to radar here. So this is a big picture view.
LaGrange, just east of LaGrange, Mallory. Track it out for those heading to Eminence. Eminence, Newcastle, everywhere east of southeast side of LaGrange.
Yes, so this is moving about 40 miles per hour here, due east, more or less.
Yep.
So we can put a tracker on this one, and this kind of gives you an idea. I'm also going to zoom my computer over a little bit so you all can see me. This gives you an idea of the timing for this storm. So you're looking at 7:57 in Smithfield, 8:03 in Eminence, 8:06 in Bellevue, 8:08 in Pleasureville, 8:12 in Bethlehem, 8:15 in Franklinton. And then you also have 8:21 in Lockport. So this storm is moving about 40 miles per hour with this rotation in place.
Yeah, that's Ballardsville Road. So, folks, if you're going east towards Eminence, the county seat up there just south of Newcastle, Eminence on Ballardsville Road is starting to show more indications of a possible tornado. It's about 2.5 miles south of LaGrange, heading to the east at 40, Mallory said. She'll track it out.
Yeah, so that's your latest tracker that you're seeing right here. So he's talking about this little notch that we're seeing here. We always pay attention to that for any kind of radar indicated rotation, and that is why they went ahead and issued the tornado warning. This was something that we were watching for probably the last 20 minutes or so with the nubs that were showing up on radar. And we do have this tornado warning in place now for the next 36 minutes. So that's as this storm races off to the east around 40 miles per hour.
Right now, very strong wind indications. So if you are south of LaGrange going towards Ballardsville over to Eminence, winds right now look to be 70 to 75 miles an hour. There's rotation just off the deck. Off the surface, but at any moment it could touch down. So please get to your safe shelter if you hear our voices heading towards Eminence right now.
Yes, thank you, John. And just to show kind of, I always like to give you all perspective. Obviously, we're talking about LaGrange. Many of you all in the Louisville Metro know exactly where that is. But the big picture view that we're seeing, we've been tracking a lot of storms across southern Indiana tonight, and we've been seeing an increase in flooding potential as well, because what these storms are doing is they're training. They're moving over the same areas over and over again, packing a punch with up to 3 inches of rainfall in a short period of time. So we are expecting the flooding potential to really increase. And I can even put, a radar indicated rainfall on here. And this shows you, especially off to the north, where we could have picked up already 2 to 4 inches of rainfall. So expect more flash flood warnings potentially, flood advisories as well. And this is kind of just showing the polygons, taking the radar noise off and showing what we have. So we have this tornado warning, once again, that we've been watching here just south of LaGrange, heading toward Newcastle and Eminence. We're tracking that for the next half hour. Bigger picture, you can see included within a severe thunderstorm warning due to strong winds. And we also have been watching, as John mentioned, some severe winds, potentially up to 70 miles per hour or so in southern Indiana as well, continuing to track eastward from there. To the north, what you're seeing there, a flash flood warning in place around Bedford, where we've been seeing some of those training thunderstorms off and on throughout the course of the day today.
Even though there's no tornado watch or severe thunderstorm watch, as far as I'm concerned, if you're along and north of 64, you're under watch right now. Tornado threat right now is south and east of LaGrange, heading towards Eminence. The winds continue to show very strong winds heading towards Ballardsville and over to Eminence and Newcastle. Please get to your safe shelter right now. And as Mallory mentioned, if you're near Palmyra, Indiana, right now the winds look almost 70 miles an hour. That's going to be coming across Interstate 64 before you know it. Please be careful. Very heavy rains. There's becoming a stronger flash flood risk as we keep going, Mallory.
Yes, yes. Thank you, John. Good reminders there. And I do want to pop over to meteorologist Austin Evans to just give us a few pointers, of course, this time of year for severe weather safety, and also to let me know if there's been any reports sent in yet. So if you all can take Max 3 or pop over to Austin in the Weather Center, he has more for that.
Yeah, Mallory, so I'm keeping an eye on a National Weather Service chat over here, and nothing major has been reported except for a 60-knot wind from the TDWR in North Harrison County. 1-inch hail reported in east central Orange County from a train spotter. No reports of a tornado there. And they are issuing a downstream warning for Harrison and Floyd counties due to the wind. But since we are discussing a tornado warning now, tornado safety, your safe space is an interior room as far away from exterior walls and windows as you can. You want to put as much material in between you and the outside world as you can. The best place really is a basement if you have that. I know not everyone has a basement, but that's the best spot to go in a severe weather situation, especially a tornado situation. You don't want to be in the kitchen or in the living room where there's windows and glass and doors and whatnot. You want to be in a hallway, an interior closet, an interior bathroom, or the basement. Those are the places you want to go during tornado warning situations. We have a severe thunderstorm watch in place until 9 o'clock, though at this point that particular watch doesn't necessarily matter because we are tracking now tornado warning here in Kentuckiana. So we can pull that back up, and we're looking at again, the southern Indiana getting most of this rain, portions of northern Kentucky now, and we're going to be looking at a flooding situation as well as we continue throughout the rest of the night. Mallory, you want to take it back over?
All right. Yes. Thank you, Austin. So once again, the reason we are on here is due to the tornado warning. Due to this storm that we're watching the rotation around LaGrange, that's where they went ahead and triggered it, and downstream from it, Newcastle, Eminence as well. You are also included in this tornado warning, so you might have gotten an alert. You're popping on if you're just now joining us. Chief Meteorologist Mallory Schnell. I'm joined alongside meteorologist Austin Evans and John Gordon. We're taking care of you tonight. They'll continue to trim down this tornado warning. You can see LaGrange now out of here because the area of rotation that they're watching has been pushed farther to the east. So I'll pull back up radar here and what we've been watching. So if I can put it into motion, as we mentioned, I'm going to make sure the storm is moving still at the same speed. But this warning was issued until 8:30 this evening. So if you're included in the red polygon, that means get in your safe place and stay until the storm does pass. It's moving around 35 miles per hour. Both tornadoes in extensive straight line wind damage located near LaGrange. So calling this due to radar indicated rotation here. Bigger picture view, we also said we were watching a few of these storms out of southern Indiana. And if I put on the velocity, we've really been able to see, just take a look at Palmyra down to Corydon. So they've gone ahead and issued that severe thunderstorm warning downstream. These are very strong winds that the radar is picking up on. So that's going to continue to push off to the east there. And that's why they went ahead and issued the tornado warning already in place.
Yeah, so some good news on the last couple scans. It's very linear, and that means the winds will be going from the west to the east. The rotation, that little notch we had, is diminished some in the last couple. But don't let your guard down if you're in Henry County. Please be straddling between Newcastle and Eminence. The velocities, Mallory, are really strong, between 65 and 70 miles an hour wind. I would expect between Ballardsville, Newcastle, and Eminence.
Yeah. And that's a good reminder, John. We talk about, a lot of people obviously focus on tornado warnings. They're scary. Tornadoes can cause a lot of damage. But we always like to also point out that when we get these destructive severe thunderstorm warnings, wind gusts of 70 miles per hour can cause tree damage, can cause power outages. If you haven't already started to charge your devices, do so now. Make sure you know where your flashlights are. If you're not under any warnings right now, doesn't mean you won't be throughout the evening. And talking about the storms that we're seeing on radar right now, as I mentioned, flooding has become an increased concern in southern Indiana, where we've seen 2 to 4 inches of rainfall in some spots. These storms are also very noisy. If you're out on the roads, they can cause hydroplaning, a lot of lightning as well. But big picture view, really this is coming in multiple waves, because the line that we were originally concerned about is this one that's trying to form all the way out in St. Louis, where these are more supercellular kind of storms that are trying to congeal eventually and head this direction. So storms this evening will come in a few rounds. We're seeing the activity right now, but then we also have more rain on the way late this evening into the overnight hours as well. I'm going to toss things back over to Austin. Austin?
Yeah, Mallory, we got a couple of reports from the National Weather Service. First, in Floyd's Knobs, power lines down at 5100 BLK Street is how it's written in chat, but also reports of multiple lines down on Voiles Road, which I believe is in the same general vicinity of Floyd's Knobs. And then Oldham County Emergency Management just told the National Weather Service that there is a tree on a residential structure on Brownsboro Alt near Old Coach Road in Crestwood, and that'd be in Oldham County. So we are already starting to see damage out of this, not necessarily tornado damage. This is straight line winds, and it's strong straight line winds. The only time I've been scared in a severe thunderstorm situation in my adult life was during a strong straight line wind situation. So we're going to continue to monitor chat, and we'll be monitoring these winds all night.
So let's talk about a couple things here.
Yeah.
One thing, that tornado threat, I believe they're going to let that tornado warning go when it expires, Mallory. It's very linear right now. It's straight line. The thing that most concerns me right now is that strong wind heading to Georgetown, Indiana, Galena, Lanesville. I'm telling you, it's going to rock and roll. You're going to see 65 to 70 mile an hour winds in the next 5 minutes. So if Mallory can track that out, that is very concerning.
You're talking about the southern Indiana winds?
Yes.
Yes. So this is what I was talking about. They did a great job at really issuing this these severe thunderstorm warnings super downstream ahead of time. So we keep going back to this. I mean, even if you don't have great radar interpretation, when you see anything that's super bright, that is when you're certainly watching for some strong winds. So Palmyra, New Salisbury, Corydon, these straight, strong line winds heading your direction. And in fact, if I just go ahead and put on the warnings in play, we can see that they went ahead and issued that. As we mentioned, this is going to be moving into Floyd County, including New Albany here. And this is why we have this severe thunderstorm warning in place until 8:30. So these are where the winds currently are, and they're moving off to the east-southeast.
For the tornado warning, strong winds. I think this is a wind threat. Eminence right now. Mallory, they're getting it right now. 60, 70 mile an hour winds. This is moving to the east. They're probably going to extend. That's a tornado warning. They'll go severes, probably for Franklin County, and then points up to Owenton. Very strong winds, but to me, stay in your safe shelter. This does not look like it did 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, which we like to see, those kind of trends. As he mentioned, we were originally watching like a knob, and anytime you see that, that's when something is trying to rotate, and then when it straightens itself out, it becomes a, quote, straight line wind threat. And as we continue onward throughout tonight, the severe weather threat for this evening and tonight has really been, we've been focusing on the wind threat, and that will still be highest. But within some of these storms, you can get just enough rotation as they tap into that wind to be better safe than sorry and issue a tornado warning on it. So that's what the National Weather Service went ahead and did when this was just southeast of LaGrange. Obviously, you're looking outside right now. This is Louisville, and we've had some dark skies and some strong winds. Louisville, you're not included in any warnings right now. You're just seeing some heavy downpours, frequent lightning at times, gusty winds certainly possible. But behind this tornado warning that we mentioned, you know, is turning into more of a wind threat, we are still watching. I mean, just if I zoom off, you can see here, Palmyra, New Salisbury, Corydon. this wind threat that's going to be moving toward New Albany here, Georgetown, into Floyd County here soon with that next warning in place. So that's what you're seeing here. Big picture view. These are the warnings that we have currently in effect. So anytime you're seeing that orange or yellow color, these are severe thunderstorm warnings. And then obviously the reason that we're cutting into coverage is until this tornado warning is allowed to expire or be canceled early, we'll be on with you. So
Thing I want to mention, you're not under a flash flood warning in southern Indiana, but as far as I'm concerned, it's getting dark. We have very, very heavy rainfall rates. Anywhere in southern Indiana, whether Du Bois, Orange, Washington, Scott, Clark, Floyd, Harrison, Crawford, or Perry, you should be prepared for some heavy water. It's going to go on for several hours. Several hours we have a flash flood threat there, Mallory.
yes, definitely.
And in Oldham County, real quick, more reports of trees and utility poles down throughout the county, mainly in the Crestwood Prospect area, according to the National Weather Service chat. Also reported tree on a vehicle on Bradford Road in Greenville, Indiana, unoccupied, confirmed, so that is good. But we are starting to see, we are getting in an influx, almost a constant stream of wind damage reports coming out of the National Weather Service. So I'm going to continue keeping my eyes glued to that. I have behind me the storm wind speed, and we actually can take the power outages map, I've just been told, if you wanted to pop that up onto the screen. And we got, it looks like 92 customers with the, okay, no. Over 30, almost 3,500 customers without power. This is the LG&E website outage map, and it's all leaning in the eastern edges of the Louisville metro area, Oldham County, and what have you. So a lot of power outages already being confirmed from LG&E due to these straight line winds that have been moving through Oldham County, mainly, again, the Crestwood area, I believe, amongst others. So,
all right, Mallory, let's talk about something that's just cropped up. Just south of the tornado warning, barely, is a notch right now that's developed just south of Eminence. They are watching that. That's rotating a little bit.
Yeah.
That would be, where is that? North of Shelbyville.
North of Shelbyville. I see exactly what you're talking about.
That is an area that really bears concern. You see it there?
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you all can see me on the left side of your screen, this little notch that John's talking about, this is northeast of Shelbyville. Watching that. So anytime, you'll hear us talk about this a lot when we do coverage. Notches, nubs, whatever you want to call it, is where a storm is trying to kind of wrap up a little bit, tap into some rotation. Sometimes it's just in the mid-levels before it goes down to the ground. But we always have to watch those, because if there is already a severe thunderstorm warning in the area, it could be tapping into some of the stronger winds as well, causing that storm to potentially create a tornado. So that's not currently in either of the warnings, is just south of the current severe thunderstorm warning, but we will be keeping a close eye on that. Good eye on that, John. Thank you.
If I were in Christiansburg, I'd be paying real close attention to that storm right now.
Yeah, that one really bears watching. Once again, I just want to keep saying about flooding. I'm telling you, these are putting down inch per half hour stuff, these heavier bands. So flash flood threatening, it's getting dark. Please, please make good decisions tonight on the road.
Yeah, and the National Weather Service has already issued a flood advisory until 11:15 for a lot of our counties. Clark, Floyd, Jefferson, Scott, Central Kentucky. We're talking about Henry, Oldham, Trimble. And, you know, this is until 11:15. This is for minor flooding, but where we're starting, whenever we start to see maybe more major flooding, that's when we'll start to see flash flood warnings in place. And yes, we need the rain, but not all at once. The ground is very dry, so that's going to also cause some flooding concerns. And as John mentioned, when it gets to be dark outside, that just adds another layer of safety concerns that we'll be watching as well.
So let's go through the radar here again. That first warning, I don't think they're going to move it east. It's that area just a hair south that there's these little nubs, see these little mergers, Mallory, that are on the front edge around Shelbyville? They have to watch for spin-ups along that line. They're definitely going to go severe. If you're in Frankfort, capital city, you're going to be under severe before you know it. And that one area continues to bring extremely heavy rain in southern Indiana by Galena, That will be, so in Louisville, that heavy line will be just a hair north of you. Jeffersonville, the Knobs, up to Sellersburg. Mallory can track that one out
Yeah,
for you.
so this is what we're talking about right here. And I know sometimes there's almost too much information on the screen for you, but you're obviously seeing the heavy rainfall on the radar, the reds, and then we turn to velocity so you can see winds. And we keep showing this because we've had these bright greens showing strong winds. And we're talking 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts just continuing to roll through here. So that's why these severe thunderstorm warnings are in place for southern Indiana right now. And they'll be moving into Floyd County, or it's already moving into Floyd County. And this warning is probably until, I would guess, 8:30. Let's see. Yes, for Floyd's Knobs, New Albany, Georgetown, Greenville, Starlight as well. So you definitely want to make sure you're inside. You don't want to be outside when these winds are whipping in. And regardless, as John keeps hitting, and it's important that even when we talk about severe weather days like today, we also talk about our flooding potential because that's going to be a concern throughout this evening into the overnight hours. And you just saw that they shaved off the back end of this because now the strongest winds are moving into Floyd County and continuing off to the east, slightly southeast.
And Mallory, a couple of damage reports coming in out of Clark County right now per their emergency management. BLK Haymarket, the 3900 block of Haymarket Drive. That's what BLK stood for earlier, and I went right over my head. In Jeffersonville, we got a tree across the roadway at the 2600 block of Cooper's Lane. In Jeffersonville, we got power lines down, and we are, again, monitoring any sort of rotation, and they are agreeing that flooding is becoming a bigger concern. This is 3-hour estimated rainfall, and we're already over 5 inches in some locations, at least according to our radar. So this is over the last 3 hours. I think we have a way to see the last
Some of it's got a little bit
hour.
of hail in there, but yeah, they're pretty high.
And this is the last hour, and where we had the highest just to the south of Paoli. 3.5 inches in an hour is a lot, assuming that that is accurate to what happened in reality. Again, this is derived from radar, so it's not going to line up completely, but this is a lot of rain falling very quickly, and as we've been discussing, the storms move through, and then they just fill in behind them and continue to do so. I've dealt with this type of situation in the Arklatex. It causes a flooding situation very, very quickly.
All right, let's do the radar really quick. The tornado warning goes till 8:30. I believe they're going to let it go, and they're going to go severe. Their next move, it's halfway through the box. It'll be out of the box here before you know it, Mallory. And they're probably going to go severe in Franklin County, Frankfort. I just got a report from a friend of mine at over in southern Indiana, in Georgetown, said near zero visibility and winds 50 plus.
I don't doubt it, right?
I-64, if you don't need to go on I-64 from Louisville to Georgetown, don't for the next 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah. So as we mentioned, these are impactful storms, even if you're not included in a warning right now, just because we are seeing heavy rainfall, gusty winds, frequent lightning as well. We came on air due to the tornado warning in place that we're still watching until 8:30, but we're expecting them to allow to cancel and go severe downstream from that. But we've also been watching some very strong straight line winds as well. And wind is really our big concern because this is all activity that's out ahead of what could be another line. It'll be interesting to see how things really react to this activity that we're seeing, because take a look at these storms that are up near St. Louis, Illinois, down to Missouri, and also a few storms are trying to form, it looks like, in western Kentucky, but all that energy has been along and north of 64, and as John mentioned, flash flooding will certainly be a concern as we carry on throughout this evening.
In the chat, one of my old guys, Ryan, he's the science officer, so another nub forming on the leading edge of the line. They're going to go severe eastbound, and the new warning will probably go for Franklin County, and a little further south will go severe, but they're watching those little nubs, Mallory, that are on the leading edge of that whole thing, at the edge of that box. Yeah,
and it's tricky, right? Because a lot of this is straight line wind, but you're looking at each little knob and nub in case there is any kind of rotation within that. So a lot to watch along this leading edge here. We do still have this severe thunderstorm warning as well on the southern edge, including Christiansburg. This is moving into your area right now, and looks like they've issued another flood advisory. So I'm expecting those to continue to roll in as well.
Yeah, I would not be issuing flood advisories. I'd be going flash flood warnings. If you're in southern Indiana, I'd treat them as a flash flood warning. Anywhere 64 northbound. These are very heavy rainfall rates. That's night, and they're really quick rates there, Mallory.
Yeah, so we've gotten some radar indicated reports. I don't have any ground truth reports just yet, but of 2 to 4+ inches of rainfall already, because we talk about training a lot. I mean, storms are moving over the same area over and over again. And we've been tracking these storms, I mean, since the 4 or 5 o'clock newscast this evening. So southern Indiana is getting a lot of rainfall tonight. Austin, do you have anything new to add over there?
I'm keeping an eye on National Weather Service chat just to see if any more reports coming in. There were some people typing, but they haven't they haven't figured out what they are putting in quite yet. No new reports on that front. We could show power outages again. We have a lot of power outages being reported to LG&E at this time. The last check was right at 3,500 customers without power. All of them focused on the eastern edge of the Louisville metro area, where the strongest of the storms so far have been moving through. Again, this has all been straight line wind damage as far as we can tell on radar. It's showing up very, very bright on radar. As you can see, none of this is necessarily rotation, but it's a lot of quick moving particles that the radar is picking up on. So that's where we're getting that wind threat, and they're still typing.
They let the tornado warning go.
Yeah, they're going to let that tornado warning go.
It's gone, and there's 3 main wind surges. The first one is going to be out of our viewing area before you know, northwest of Frankfort. The second one is coming into the Knobs, Charlestown, down to Jeffersonville, Sellersburg. And then a new third one is heading just east of Marengo. But right now, no more tornado warnings at this time.
All right, so that's good news. What we are going to do here at WHAS 11 is we are going to stay on streaming. So we were going to do continuous streaming already at 8:30. We are going to hop over to our streaming platform there, and we will pop on linear, so on television as needed throughout the evening for additional tornado warnings. But be sure to stream coverage all throughout this evening. We'll be with you for these severe thunderstorm warnings on WHAS 11+. You can stream us there. And as I mentioned, if additional tornado warnings are issued, we will cut in right here on TV. So we can transition back over to streaming now.
Why in God's name they're going flood advisories beyond me.
Should be straight on streaming. Thank you all for continuing to stream with us this evening on WHAS 11+. If you're just now popping on, I'm Chief Meteorologist Mallory Schnell here in Louisville, Kentucky, wherever you might be streaming this coverage. I'm joined alongside by meteorologist Austin Evans and meteorologist John Gordon in our weather center. And we are going to stick with you. We were planning on doing continuous coverage anyway, starting at 8:30, so we might as well continue onward. We did have a tornado warning that was allowed to expire or be canceled early. We're watching some straight line winds and also some potential notches and nubs where some of those storms might be trying to tighten up. So we're going to keep an eye on all of that and also take you through our flooding threat that we are seeing this evening and into tonight, because we have some torrential downpours that are rolling through areas along and north of the 64 corridor this evening. So this is what the radar looks like right now. We were watching this storm. We basically had a little bit of rotation in Oldham County, and it was just to the southeast of LaGrange, continued to push off to the east toward Newcastle and Eminence. They went ahead and replaced that with a severe thunderstorm warning. There's also one just down to the south of that. Heavy rainfall, frequent lightning, currently moving through Shelbyville. And then I believe we still just have the one severe thunderstorm warning in this area of Floyd County. This is due to straight line winds. So Floyd's Knobs, Georgetown, Greenville, Starlight, New Albany. This probably takes us through about 8:30 due to 60, or even before this, velocity looked really sharp and really strong with wind gusts up to about 70 miles per hour. So we've been keeping an eye on any kind of potential storm reports. Anything new, guys, from the storm report desk?
John Gordon is submitting a spotter report if you want to discuss that one.
I was just going to do a big radar overview whenever you're ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a near zero visibility in Georgetown, Indiana, 55 mile per hour winds on I-64. Obviously, right now, the main, one of the big things that we're keeping an eye on right now is the deluge of widespread, very heavy rain moving through portions of Kentuckiana, pretty much along and north of the I-64 corridor. And the Louisville Emergency Management, Louisville Jefferson County Emergency Management, keeping an eye on everything. They did have a few fire alarms triggered from power outages, a couple of reports of limbs down, but nothing major coming out of Louisville Emergency Management at this time. We've discussed the reports out of southern Indiana. We've had multiple damage reports coming in of trees down, power lines down because of the straight line winds moving through Oldham County and moving through Floyd's Knobs in southern Indiana. So we're going to continue to watch this as it moves through. John?
All right, let's do a radar whole overview here. So the biggest thing we're going to talk about right now, believe it or not, is flooding. All right? So this blue line, if you on my monitor, anywhere north of that line, so for the sake of argument, north of the parkways, that on the upper right screen, you see the 1 hour precipitation product, 1 hour. Purples are never good, are they, Mallory? Purples mean a lot of rain. So there is a bunch of heavy rain that's falling all across from the basically north of the parkways. That's the first thing. Second thing we're going to talk about is each individual area. First thing is we got a severe thunderstorm warning over there east of Eminence, over there for Henry County and northern Shelby County. That's all moving to the east. That'll be out here before you know it. But Frankfort, it's heading towards you. And there's just a lot of heavy rain on this screen. You look at the reds and the yellows here on the left side of the screen. There's a lot of heavy rain moving through the metro. And there's going to be, they've been issuing flood advisories. As far as I'm concerned, I'm under flash flood warnings if I'm in southern Indiana. And right now, the biggest wind threat, Mallory, and she can track all this out. Yeah, there's two big wind threats. One is between Waddy and Patonia on I-64 towards Frankfort, up towards Monterey. And the second one is approaching the I-65 corridor. An I-65 corridor. And the I-65 corridor, we got some heavy winds between Galena, New Albany, Sellersburg, all heading towards 65. Extremely heavy rain and lots of wind there, Mallory.
Yeah, that's right, John. So we're tracking currently severe thunderstorm warnings in place across Kentuckiana, and we have a few, as John has been mentioning. So the first one beginning to move out of our particular coverage area once it moves into areas like Frankfort. Here, let me move my computer out of the way. If you see me gesture over here, I'm tracking all this alongside with you with our Max computer. But yes, so this is kind of the eastern edge of the counties that we cover, and that's continuing to push off to the east with very strong winds. Down to the south, that's where we had another severe thunderstorm warning in place in Christiansburg. And then also this warning, as John mentioned, approaching 65, that corridor there, where we're seeing some strong winds that have been moving west to east, moving toward the I-65 corridor. So this is not enjoyable weather to be out in or out on the roads in. You're talking torrential rainfall, gusty winds that are limiting visibility. As John mentioned, he got a storm report in for that, and also probably some frequent lightning as well. So a good night to stay in if you can, because we've had flood advisories trickle in. Would not be surprised to see additional flash flood warnings as we carry on throughout this evening. And now that the sun is setting here soon, it's 8:24, and we start to get dark, that really amplifies the flooding threat that we see overnight. So we always say, turn around, don't drown. Please practice that as we track these storms that have been just training over the same areas. This is radar estimated rainfall, so it's not giving me the ground truth for the measurements. But anytime you're seeing oranges, reds, purples, not a good sign. And you'll notice that they are all concentrated kind of in this corridor between 64 and areas northward, where we've had storms just move over the same areas over and over again this evening. So that's what we're watching.
And the one thing we can show them, Mallory, is if you go to the west, show them what's by St. Louis if you want. This is the main show.
This
you
is
think what's going on right now? This is an appetizer.
Right. I know. So those of you at home might be like, wait, I thought this was supposed to be a late evening overnight threat. This is really the main line. I mean, take a look at the lightning, geez. But this is the main concern where you're seeing these cells kind of fire up, trying to tap into some of that shear and rotate. And then this will congeal together and swing through from northwest to southeast later on this evening into the overnight hours and into very early tomorrow morning. So we do have more activity on the way for us tonight. This is just, as John mentioned, an appetizer, a first round that we're watching right now. So lots of heavy rainfall, lots of lightning, some strong wind gusts that we're tracking as it stands. We've gotten a lot of reports in tonight of tree damage, of power outages. So I expect that to continue as well.
And one thing to really hit, Austin, you can hit is talk about flash flood safety at night. All this heavy rain, and I'm telling you folks, all that red behind Mallory, that's not good. That's extremely heavy rain.
Right.
And flash flooding at night is more dangerous to recognize, and people can make bad decisions.
Yeah, I have a list of flash flood safety tips pulled up behind me. And really, when there's a flash flood situation, stay inside and don't go anywhere. And if you start to see issues with water, report it immediately. Obviously, avoid flooded areas altogether. The water depth is unknown. You don't know if it's 3 inches deep or 2 feet deep. Turn around, don't drown. That's the thing that we say. It's not just a catchy phrase that rhymes. 1 to 2 feet of flowing water can wash away your vehicle, and it doesn't matter how big your truck is. So 6 inches of flowing water will knock you off your feet pretty much every time. And don't go into flooded basements before ensuring the electricity is off. And I wouldn't even in that situation, even with the electricity off, because you don't know how dirty that water is. You don't know how quickly you can get sick from that water. And of course, if the electricity is still on, that water could be electrified, and that could be a very dangerous situation as well. On top of, power lines and stuff being down, if they're down in flooded water, that water is now a significant hazard even outside of the drowning threat that flooded roadways bring. So we're going to continue to monitor this, but this has turned into a significant flash flood situation, or at least a significant flooding situation. And in fact, really quickly before I send it back over to Mallory, something that I was noticing when we pull up this line right here, in the back of that, that's all flooding alerts that have been issued as the line has moved through. So we're going to have even more heavy rain moving in. Just the issue is it's not going to be here for another 2, maybe 3 hours.
Yeah. So we have multiple doses of storms that are on the way for us tonight. This is kind of round 1 or 2, depending on how you see it. We had a few scattered storms early this afternoon that actually carried a bit of a hail threat. They were pretty isolated in nature, but they were elevated, so they had a large hail threat. I saw some damage reports around Jasper, Indiana earlier due to some pretty decent hail size. But now it's transitioned over to winds and especially heavy rainfall, as we keep mentioning, lots of lightning as well. And an interesting thing about this setup is here in Louisville, most of the day was cloudy. So you can only imagine how much worse this would have been if we had a lot of sunshine today. So we have so much wind energy with this kind of setup, a lot of shear. We've been having some stronger or higher dew points streaming in from the southwest. So that's what's getting picked up here on storm fuel. And this is why that area of western Kentucky was really being monitored, because if storms developed, they were kind of primed to be in that greatest amount of fuel or instability, and also just a massive amount of shear or rotating wind energy. And what we're seeing right now in terms of temperatures, obviously they're beginning to cool, but you'll also notice where that big cutoff is between where it's raining and where it's mostly dry, with temperatures just in the upper 70s down to the south, a lot of low to mid 60s in southern Indiana. Obviously, this is a picture of one of our live cams that you're seeing in the upper right-hand corner. Some lightning, heavy rainfall. I believe that's the one that's right over the Ohio there. So some lowered visibility as well for any folks that are out tonight. And dew points obviously have been picking up as well as we get rain moving over the area. So these dew points are starting to creep into the upper 50s and lower 60s tonight, and we have that moisture to tap into. So we've been talking about, obviously, severe weather threat throughout the week. Anytime you see a severe weather outlook with a level 3 or a level 4 out of 5, it certainly grabs your attention. But there's also another outlook that you can look at from the Weather Prediction Center, and it's your excessive rainfall outlook. This is basically your risk of flash flooding. And I would say anytime you're just even included in this outlook, it's something to take notice about. Even when you're in the slight risk, it's certainly something to take notice about. The wording might not be the best way to describe the potential impacts, but yellow on this map, not good. You can see all of us included in that for today and tonight. This means we have that elevated risk of seeing flash flooding. And as we've been talking about, flooding advisories have been continuing to be issued across the area. Austin?
We're going to have a flash flood warning coming out for most of the Louisville Metro and parts of western Shelby and Oldham counties. So they're working on getting that issued. We're going to have it pop up on the map as soon as they hit the big red button at the National Weather Service. But with this rain likely continuing over the next couple of hours, we need that warning in place. That's going to make your emergency alert on your phone go off. So just be ready for that rather loud noise when that happens. Again, we got a flash flood warning on the way, according to the National Weather Service. That'll be out for most of the Louisville Metro and parts of western Shelby and Oldham counties, parts of Clark and Floyd County in southern Indiana as well. We also have a severe thunderstorm watch that's going to be, that they are talking with the Storm Prediction Center, that's likely going to be for areas north of the Western Kentucky and Bluegrass Parkways. And they are talking about whether or not the atmosphere will be able to recover from this across the region. The watch will be for ongoing convection, so they might have to issue another watch later for the line that's on the way. That'll be in a few hours. But that is what we have coming from the National Weather Service. We're about to have a flash flood warning for the Louisville Metro and portions of Shelby County, Oldham County, and parts of Clark and Floyd County in southern Indiana.
Okay, so they're issuing those flash flood warnings, a few of them, but I would be issuing even more. Orange, Washington, Clark, Scott, all of these counties are getting very heavy rain. If you look at my screen, the upper right screen, look at all those nasty colors. That's not your child drawing your art project. The bad high colors are never good. Not good. We're showing 3 plus 4 inches in Austin, in Madison, in Salem, north of Salem to Bedford. Very heavy rain is the main show right now. And as we wait the main action that's coming out from St. Louis, where they're getting very heavy rain and wind right now, all that's moving to the east. This is your appetizer round. There's more to come.
Yes, there is. And I just got a report from a friend about a tree down in Auburndale. So yes, we have that wind threat that we've been tracking with the severe thunderstorms, and now we have the rain and flash flooding threat. And as Austin mentioned, the National Weather Service is planning on issuing there it is.
They have issued it.
It's underneath all my... It's hard to see sometimes with all of the radar
Lots of
activity.
colors.
I had to take the rain off, but I got the polygon behind me, the flash flood warning for the entire Louisville Metro,
Right.
and extending into Oldham, Shelby County, parts of Clark and Floyd counties in southern Indiana.
So this is basically your sign that if you don't have anywhere to be tonight, stay home. Stay home. Let the rain pass. Don't be out on the roads because we are getting some torrential downpours. And this can always be amplified in urban areas as well. You know, at the very least, I'm sure you all know there are areas in town that tend to flood first. And then there are also areas, even on, I take I-64 home, and that can really, water can pond in that area and cause some hydroplating issues as well. So stay home if you can. Flash flood warning now in effect for basically all of the Louisville metro area until 11:45 this evening. This is due to, 1 to 2 inches of rain that's already fallen and potentially another 1 to 2 inches that's on the way because, as we mentioned, this radar, it's pretty relentless with a lot of oranges and reds. I mean, this is just heavy rain.
And it's through a lot of major highways right now.
And we have more of it coming on the way, moving
Interstate
in.
64 is not pleasant if you're going Sulphur to the east or St. Louisville and Shelbyville. And if you go I-65 from Louisville up to Henryville and Memphis and Bedford, there's very heavy rain in there. Up to 71, that's not a pleasant drive either right now with heavy rain up there towards Cincinnati.
No, this is, whew.
So even they've got warnings here and there, but if you're basically north of 64, I would put yourself under a flash flood warning. You can listen to that famous song, I Love a Rainy Night by Eddie Rabbitt. This is what it's going to be. I love a rainy night.
Yeah, just stay in if you can. So,
And if you have plans, I'd cancel them. I'd just go ahead
In
and cancel
southern
them.
Indiana, for sure.
yeah, this is,
And look how far back the stuff goes. Show them how far back this goes for the main line, the cold front.
yeah, this is the main line that you're seeing behind me.
Look at that.
I mean, well, you can always just see it due to the lightning here.
I think we have lightning interfering with our camera.
But this is crossing through the state of Illinois, down through Missouri as well, cutting through St. Louis right now. So these were the areas that were at that higher risk for tornado potential. We've had one tornado warning for our viewing area so far tonight, where we were watching a bit of a notch around LaGrange, pushing east toward Imminence and Newcastle. That was allowed to expire early. And then in addition to that, we've been watching some obviously straight line wind threats. We've been talking about all the reports we've gotten in about, tree damage or power outages, things of that nature. And then it's that 1-2 punch of the wind threat and now this heavy rainfall and flooding threat, which sometimes these severe events just kind of evolve into. Anytime you're getting training, when these things aren't just like one straight line that's going to zip on through here, and there's storms that are going straight west to east with more coming in on the backside as well.
It's the filling in on the backside is really it's kind of that's the stand that's getting kicked on you because even behind this area where it's very widespread and heavy, we got more widespread and heavy on the way up near Bedford and near I-69. So we have more very heavy rain on the way, and then of course the cold front, which includes probably the heaviest rain that we'll see, assuming it stays together as it moves into Kentuckiana. So obviously there's a lot of lightning associated with that main line too.
So I think what's going to happen, I was just looking at some data here. So all these storms that are firing right now, I think there's going to be a little bit of a break. If you go down, our friends in Meade County, Breckenridge, Hancock, Grayson, there's a break down there. I think we're going to see a little bit of a break. And as we wait to see all this stuff to the west congel and create a big line that will move in towards between 11, 12, 1 a.m. in there, across our whole viewing area. There'll be a new set of warnings. Sorry to hear that. We're in sales, not production. It's a wacky weather world we live in. And all that stuff's going to be moving to the east out of St. Louis and down and throughout the entire area, all our viewing area. So this heavy rain right now will really persist basically along and east of Santa Claus to Jasper, down to Fort Knox, and points off the northeast. This is really a heavy rain threat. I don't see a tornado threat right now. You see a lot of winds on the Kentucky Mesonet, where you're getting winds gusting 35, maybe here and there. But I think this is a heavy rain threat, and we may be getting a little bit of a reprieve to the southwest. We'll just see if this pretends.
Yeah, we could use a break, I'm sure, after all this heavy rainfall here, because as we've been talking about, it's been pretty relentless, where it's just kind of rolling on through at a very heavy rate. And that's why we do have a flash flood warning in effect, in case you missed it, for the Louisville metro area until 11:45 this evening, due to an inch or two of rainfall that's already fallen, and then another inch or two that's going to be coming very quickly. So we need the rain, but not all of it all at once. And unfortunately, that's what we're seeing right now. For anybody asking about severe potential right now, we don't have any severe warnings. Those were allowed to expire. Now we're watching this flood threat until, as John mentioned, we watch this main line that's still off to our west and northwest. That will be coming through later on tonight, likely during the 11 o'clock newscast, and then pushing off to the southeast from there throughout the overnight hours. And that's been kind of the main show that we were watching for. And all this activity that we're seeing this evening is out ahead of that. So if you live south of Louisville, if you live along and south of the parkways, things are quiet for you right now. But that main line of storms will definitely be hitting basically all of us later on tonight.
Yeah, Mallory, they just issued a new severe thunderstorm watch. Now goes until 4 a.m. It includes all of the counties that you have pulled up right there.
Yep.
All the counties in yellow under a severe thunderstorm watch. The southern Indiana counties, the times are a little funky, but I would say until 4 a.m. Almost area-wide, not quite. But we have the watch down to Bardstown, E-Town, and Nelson and Hardin counties there. The far southern reaches of Kentuckiana not included in the watch at this time. If they get added to it, we will let you know.
All right. Thank you, Austin. And yeah, so that's for, as we keep talking about this main line, the second line, the additional activity that we're expecting overnight. And in general, as that continues, the next line pushes from northwest to south-southeast through the region overnight. It should gradually weaken as we continue through the overnight hours. So maybe that's the reasoning behind not including our southernmost counties there in that watch. And I'm going to pull up, since we're just streaming here, going off the fly, I'm going to pull up and see if any of the models show anything close to what we're seeing, because they've been, well, this one, let's see, how does radar look right now? A little bit like that.
I just had it pulled up.
You try to look for initialization. So are models initializing well? Are they showing what's happening right now on the model data? And a lot of them didn't have a great eye on this for tonight's severe weather threat. It's been kind of going with the flow here with you. Still thinking, though, in general, the main line coming through, as I mentioned, that 11 o'clock newscast might be pretty busy through midnight, 1 a.m., and then you'll notice that leading edge is out of here by 3. We might still have some lingering showers in areas like Adair County at 4 a.m., and then most of your Tuesday is dry until we watch potentially some additional storms that try to roll in, especially into our southern counties tomorrow evening and tomorrow night.
Once that leading edge moves through, we should be in the back of that. We should be fine in terms of the bigger severe threat. It's still likely going to still be raining pretty heavily as it's moving through. They are looking at upgrading. They're taking the flood advisory that's for Trimble County, Jefferson, and Scott counties. They're upgrading that to a flash flood warning with multiple rounds of incoming storms. That's going to increase that flooding potential, even if they're not seeing it currently. So they are going ahead and upgrading the flood advisory for Trimble, Jefferson, and Scott counties to flash flood warnings because more rain is on the way. And of course, this is what radar is looking like right now. Lots of widespread rain across the Louisville metro area. John, you've been over there. You've been
rain.
I'm getting reports of some flooding in Little York. That's in northeast Washington County between Scottsburg, Little York, Austin. On the radar measured, they're showing 3+ inches. Mr. Belsky gave me a report of 3.4 inches in Bedford, and we report a 3.2 inches on the ground in Salem. Little York's a little further to the northeast. All that area that I highlighted there in the northeast, Mallory can show you all there, all in the northern part of Washington, Scott, Orange counties, flash flooding, no surprise. And they're upgrading, as we've been mentioning, an hour ago. Yeah,
that's a good call there, because as we've been talking about, there's been a lot of flood advisories, but your flash flood warnings, those really get your attention. They cause your alerts to go off on your phone, and I just feel like people take those more seriously. And we do want you to take this flooding threat very seriously, because a lot of people tend to think, hey, I'm scared of tornadoes. That's the one thing I'm going to think about. And if there's not tornadoes, I'm not as worried about taking precautions. But we mentioned earlier during this stream and also on air when we had some severe thunderstorm warnings that were capable of 70-mile straight line winds. that's enough to cause some tree damage. That's enough to cause power outages. And flooding should be taken just as seriously. We always say turn around, don't drown. And we really want you to practice that tonight, especially along north of 64. We're getting a quick inch to 2 inches very quickly. And some of these spots, as John mentioned, 3 to 4 inches. Certainly possible already with more rain on the way. And that's also key here. So we've been talking about, showers and storms that have been moving over the same areas, and we are still seeing that. So, I mean, it's just anytime you see a radar like this with this much red, that's not good. So we have our flash flood warning for the Louisville metro area until 11:45. We're waiting for that additional flash flood warning to be issued, correct, off to the north. And then we keep talking about the main show, which is down here. So hopefully we get a break after this wave, and then we watch the main wave through the 11 o'clock newscast into the early morning hours. We will be with you while this threat is withstanding throughout the night. So
yeah, just
flooding.
got some reports here. So we have some trees. This is from Floyd County, our friends in Floyd County. We got multiple roads are closed down due to down power lines in Greenville. Pekin Road, Clark Street, trees and the power lines, not good. Floyd's Knobs, trees and more power lines, power poles. You may see an increase. Austin's been giving you the power outages. But the one thing I want to look at is the radar on my screen, if you'll see this. We have this big area just east of 65 right now, this big blob of red moving to the east. That's going to show 40 to 45 mile an hour winds and extremely heavy rain. So, folks, if you're, once again, Prospect and Goshen, over there to Utica, right now, there's just a wind threat. Do not see a tornado threat right now. And extremely heavy rain. All of our listeners in southern Indiana will get another inch in the next hour, basically, unless you're south of 64. Anything along and north of 64 is the really heavy rain threat right now. And you got that line of intense rain. So what's that do to the visibility, Mallory? It drops it down the tubes.
Yeah, like a rock.
So we're talking about severe weather at night with this moving through, especially the next one that will be the next line, the main event, what we're talking about moving through beginning at about 11 o'clock. Got some tips for you on severe weather at night. And the first thing I want to say, even though it's number 2, have a way to wake up for a warning. It's what I've been saying over this past weekend. Make sure your weather alerts can wake you up. If you're not already awake, make sure that they can wake you up. Get your attention perhaps from across the room or whatever. Weather radio close by, that kind of goes along with that point 2 that I made. Charge your phones. Go ahead and start doing that right now. Just go ahead and start charging your mobile devices right now. And obviously stay up to date with the forecast. That's what you're doing by watching this. Designated safe space. That is your storm safe space, your interior room, away from exterior windows, with a helmet, or perhaps I'd get the leashes and dog cat carriers down, or crates. I'd get those ready right now for the event that you need to chuck the cat into the cat carrier in a severe weather situation. Our pets are our family too. We want to keep them as safe as possible. First aid kit also highly, highly recommended just in case the worst situation were to happen. So we do have Indiana power outages up, I was told a few minutes ago. If you want to take that particular map, we can go over what we were seeing. I was told that they did go up. So if you could pull that information up real quick, we can show the people what the power situation is in southern Indiana. I got to get close to the screen so I can read it.
Yeah, if you all can tell us the number, because it's somewhat cut off on the left side of our screen here.
So customers without power all the way up, this is all the way up to Indianapolis, but we have over 1,000 people near Louisville without power. You can see just to the north of Grantsburg, 256 customers without power, 730 north of Milton, I believe is what that said. In total, over 7,000 customers without power, but that is considering the entire state. Here in Kentuckiana, we likely have over 1,000. I'd estimate about 1,500 to 2,000 customers without power here in Kentuckiana. That's that's on the Indiana side of Kentuckiana. And here in LG&E's district, over 11,500 people without power, most of it on the eastern edge of the Louisville metro, where the heaviest of that rain is moving through and will continue to do so over the next several hours. That's where a large portion of the power lines and trees down and stuff that's been reported to the National Weather Service chat, that's where a lot of that stuff has been reported. So we are going to, we'll keep you updated on the power outage
got some reports
situation. That's why you need to charge your stuff now.
When that line went through Sellersburg, the previous line, they got trees down in Sellersburg on Old Highway 60 right now. That's just west of I-65 at exit 7. Very heavy rain continues east of 65, heading to our friends in Campbellsburg and LaGrange and Crestwood. Very heavy rain. Expect another inch in about 20 minutes to 30 minutes. It's raining that hard. Yeah,
and you were seeing some of those lightning flashes just behind John there in one of our weather cameras. Yeah, so that's capturing obviously a stormy night here in the Louisville metro area and all across Kentuckiana as well. And we keep talking about the fact that we have more and more rounds on the way. So we went from hopping on TV and hopping on stream earlier due to our lone tornado warning. We were watching some areas of rotation around LaGrange that were pushing into imminence and Newcastle. And since then, we've been watching severe thunderstorm warnings and also now flash flood warnings that's in place for all of the Louisville metro area. This is a live look from our Bachman Auto Group U of L Health camera over the Ohio. Obviously, rain on the camera lens there, and every now and then you'll see, there you go, quite a bit of lightning. So these storms, they're loud, they are bright, I'm sure you're seeing, and you know, it shouldn't take me to tell you, it's just a good night to stay in, especially with this flooding threat continuing to increase and become honestly more serious as we do have just heavy rainfall all across Louisville right now.
And if you're in town for the Kentucky Derby, welcome to Derby City. It's not usually like this, but we are going to continue to track this rain throughout or these storms throughout the rest of the night. I can say just real quick for the forecast looking ahead, since we are on streaming, it doesn't look like we're going to have much to deal with in terms of rain going into the latter portions of this week. And on Saturday, rain chances are fairly minimal. They're still there, but isolated. So we get through tonight and we get through tomorrow night, and then the rain chances are fairly uneventful. And hopefully that will remain to be the case. But right now we got a whole lot of rain out there, and quite a bit of it very heavy. And then we're not done. We have to the north and west a line of what appears to be some very dangerous storms, multiple tornado warnings there, on top of severe thunderstorm warnings, on top of flash flood. I assume those are flash flood warnings. Yeah, we're not quite done, and that is the heaviest of stuff that's going to move through. That's going to exacerbate our flooding threat. It's the ground is now taking in a lot of water, so that's going to make the tree and power poles getting knocked over threat worse due to the damaging wind that'll be moving through. That is the main line, still about a couple of hours away.
All right, let's talk about that. So I've been looking at some stuff out to the west. So if you look on that line that just went through the St. Louis Metro, all your friends there, they're issuing tornado warnings in Illinois right now. Okay?
Yeah, Effingham under a warning.
3 of them. So the line is more congealed from up by Chicago, Champaign, Urbana, and then to the east of St. Louis. Tremendous lightning show. Mallory's mentioned that several times.
Yeah.
So that's along the front. So there's this upper level jet stream. It's pushing all this air up and over, and it creates all this lift. So we're going to be, it's right now 8:54. I'm thinking the midnight hour. That's a famous song, too. Around the midnight hour, we're going to have a line of storms that will be going through the entire viewing area, WHAS, Louisville, Sellersburg, wherever you are, you're going to get this line. And we're going to have a lot of wind when this line comes through. My sense is the tornado threat may be a little bit higher on our western communities, maybe Jasper over there to maybe Litchfield and West, but we're talking another 3 hours. So, like I said, Eddie Rabbit, a love a rainy night. So we're going to have a lot of storms to deal with, but right now this is a flood threat, very heavy rain all across southern Indiana with a bunch of flash flood warnings.
Right, and we can come back to those flash flood warnings that we're talking about. So if I put on just the warnings here, oh, hey, I see that we're in a 4-box. So we have the one obviously around Louisville. This is until 11:45, so this one's been issued for our area. This one was issued at 8:30, and then we have this next one that we were talking about that had a flood advisory and then was amplified to a flash flood warning for good reason. Central Jefferson County, Scott County, northwestern Trimble County, that moves over into Kentucky as well, and this one is until 11 o'clock. So, you know, usually when they put out a warning, there's some verbiage here about what they were thinking when they issued it. Heavy rain, obviously, across the Warren area. Between 1.5 to 2.5 inches of rain have fallen. Additional 1/2 inch to 1.5 inches on the way. So flash flooding is ongoing or expected to begin. And, you know, that's what we're seeing across much of the area. We keep talking about along and north of 64 because of where storms have been. In fact, what I'm going to do is actually put this into a loop, let's say after the last 5 hours. And you can just see the radar filling in.
And then it just never goes away.
And has just continued onward. I mean, I was tracking these storms during the 5 o'clock newscast. Matthew Willoughby was tracking them during the 4 o'clock newscast. So they first started up near Bedford and Seymour and then have kind of filled in. We had an outflow boundary that pushed down to the south and southeast. We were starting to see some scattered activity in the Louisville metro. And then all this just kind of surged down to the south. Now, for those of you along and south of the parkways, I mean, it's been quiet. So we're still waiting for that main line that's going to roll through tonight and really kick through the entire coverage area here. But we don't have any active severe warnings. As we keep mentioning, this has really turned into a heavy rainfall and flooding threat with this line. And then once this wave moves through, we're watching the main show back here off to the west with the front. I keep talking about the lightning. Let's see how much lightning there is here. Just out of curiosity. Yeah, 3,000 strikes. Probably more than that if I was able to get that entire line. But yeah, that's a lightning show there.
Strikes.
Yes, so many. And obviously there's a few embedded tornado warnings too along the line. So this is congealing, turning into that wind threat with some embedded tornado threats off to our west. So currently moving through the east side of the St. Louis metro, stretching all the way up into
that website.
northwestern Indiana right now.
So we have a little update on the power outages. So but you check all the rural co-ops. Right now we have almost 10,000 people, homes and customers right now without power in southern Indiana. That covers all the rural ones.
That's a lot. Yeah.
All that wind that came through that one line that really went through Borden and Georgetown and on the north side of 64 really brought a lot of wind, so it does not surprise me. And right now we're dealing with flooding, and flooding reports at night are always problematic. So the one thing you can really look at is all the heavy rain on the precip products. So let's look at the one on the upper right on my screen. We're looking at 3 to 4 inch rainfall amounts, all basically from north of Jasper to Paoli, Salem, Madison. Madison's a bad place for a flash flood because it's so hilly there. Clifty Falls, Madison there. Please don't ever go to water an unknown depth. Austin will hit some safety tips here in a few minutes, but I'm telling you, that is really the big threat right now. We have a non-zero tornado threat. I think the tornado threat will ramp up a little bit, maybe after 11 to 12 o'clock tonight, especially west of Louisville.
And on that threat, the National Weather Service noting that we're looking at more of a flash flooding hazard as convection continues to train along the I-64 corridor and will do so over the next several hours. Highest risk of flash flooding, according to the National Weather Service, will be Louisville down the I-64 corridor into the Lexington area. Metro areas are of a great concern because of low drainage areas, a lack of natural drainage, the low-level jet to the west of the region, spreading eastward overnight. Will likely be to the left with the mixed layer cape gradients, so they're getting into some sciencey stuff. But we are going to continue to watch this over the next several hours. They're expecting this rain to continue for a good while. So we have that. The flooding threat has now become kind of the main thing that we need to make sure everyone is aware of. And just again, real quick, flash flood tips. Flash flood tips. For one, if there's a flash flood issue, just don't go outside. That's the big thing. Avoid flooded areas altogether. You're not going to know how deep the water is, especially in an urban setting like we are in Louisville. Turn around, don't drown. Do it. Just find a different way to go. We say that, and it's a good phrase to say. It's simple, it rhymes, but 1 to 2 feet of flowing water washes away vehicles pretty much every time, regardless of how big those vehicles are. So 6 inches of water will knock you off your feet pretty much every time too. And don't go into flooded basements in general. Don't do that. The water is going to be very dirty. You don't know how quickly you can get sick from that or get an infection. But on top of that, electricity, if that water is electrified at any point, it can severely harm you very, very fast. So we are going to continue to monitor that with the storms moving through. That is flash flood safety, and you need to adhere to those safety tips.
All right. Thank you, Austin. Yes, very important here. A lot of people don't take flash flooding seriously, and we want you to. We want you to be safe. Stay in if you can. So the watches that we're currently under, you're seeing the severe thunderstorm warning, watch in effect for all the counties here in yellow until 4 a.m. So right now we're not seeing anything, quote, severe. We're seeing impactful. We're seeing flash flood warnings. All the storms have really turned into a flooding threat with this round. But as we keep talking about, we have that second round that's currently off to our west and northwest that will be coming in ahead of the front. And so that's what we're watching for the severe weather potential, because as John mentioned, the tornado threat will start to ramp up a little bit with this. We're also looking at straight line wind threat with this main line. You can see all the power that's really tapping into with this long line of lightning strikes all throughout the state of Illinois into northwestern Indiana, just right around St. Louis there. And in fact, they have a purple polygon there, so some indication of a tornado on the ground there just east of St. Louis. So that's the line that we're watching for the early overnight hours. That has been, quote, the main event that we were really concerned about for the late evening overnight period. We want to make sure everybody has ways to receive alerts. Make sure your alerts are turned on your phone. Make sure your phone is charged and turned up volume all the way to wake you up in the middle of the night. We talk about a NOAA weather radio. That's really your best tool to have. Those things are loud, and for good reason. They will wake you up in the middle of the night. But right now, we are concerned about flooding with this current wave because we've had a lot of heavy rainfall over a very short period of time and storms that have been training throughout the evening over the same area. So we have our flash flood warning in place for the Louisville metro area, of course, now until 11:45, and also that flash flood warning off to the northwest as well, I believe, or northeast, excuse me, until 11 p.m. Central Jefferson County, Scott County, and into Trimble County here in Kentucky as well.
That line going through Louisville right now, Mallory can show that line right in the middle part of Jefferson County, just at 33 miles an hour at the airport. They have a 1.5 mile visibility. The radar was showing about 40 miles an hour. A friend of mine just gave me a report on the Anchorage, Kentucky, 40 mile an hour wind gusts, so that kind of checks. That's all moving off to the east. And if you notice, we mentioned a little bit ago, south of Fort Knox, there appears to be a little bit of a break right now. So hopefully we can get this heavier band through, get a little bit of a break before another band of very heavy rain comes in towards the midnight hour. And people are sending me notes about famous songs of the midnight hour, so thank you.
To keep things fresh. Right?
I was given a report in my ear that there was an accident on I-65 South. Can you tell me where that was real quick? South of the airport. I've got the traffic tracker pulled up, and it looks like there is a significant traffic backup near the airport, right near right in between on I-65, Abu Dhabi Park and Churchill Downs. I would like to try to find, I'm going to try to find a camera while I'm looking at everything. That's I-64 at Hurstbourne Parkway. That's not where we need to be for this. So I'm going to really quickly find, I'm going to look at a couple of I-65 cameras. Let's start at Arthur Street. I know this one looks southward, so we can hopefully see at least something there. I'm not going to worry about the label right now. This is just I-65. Not seeing anything there. Going to try to find where this is. I've just been told mile marker 130. So we're going to try our best to find where this is. I-65 at I-264 would be the good one to get to. I just need to find it in this list.
And while he's trying to find that, I do have it in the traffic tracker. You can just see red here. So I'm assuming that's what you all were talking about near the airport, 65, near the Watterson here. Yeah. So I-65 southbound, near the Watterson, near the airport.
I got the camera pulled up. I found the camera. And yeah, if you want to pop Max 3 up, there is I-65. This is I-65 at the Watterson. And you can see that there is a significant backup of vehicles on the right-hand side of your screen. Again, this is in the southbound lane, and a significant portion of the lanes are blocked. But this is on top of, it's raining very, very hard, so do not get on I-65 right now, especially if you're heading south, because you're not going to get a whole lot of places once you hit this major traffic jam, and they're going to have to work that accident in this really heavy rain, so it's going to be a while. So just avoid I-65 at southbound near the Watterson at this time.
Yeah, and I'm assuming we'll probably see, unfortunately, more of those accidents roll in. There's probably going to be a lot of hydroplaning, I hate to say it tonight, just because of the, just the heavy rainfall on the roads, but also visibility is very poor with, as John mentioned, some gusty winds rolling through here, 40-mile-per-hour winds, I believe you said, and heavy rainfall. That lowers your visibility in an instant there, not to mention all the spray that you pick up from the semi-trucks and everything on the interstate. So please stay in tonight if you can, because this rain is coming out at a very heavy clip. Anytime you see red on the radar, that's not good.
Yep.
So,
and so there's a little hydroplane jingle. You can teach your kids. Wet lanes, don't hydroplane. Never, ever, ever speed when heavy rain, because you're hydroplaning, and then you lose complete control, and it's not pretty. So if we go to my screen, let's look to the west to really show you what are these weather people talking about, what's happening to the west. It's raining right now. But if you look at my screen, you can really see the action to the west. Look. So we got a line of storms from Effingham just east of St. Louis down towards West Plains, Missouri. That is all moving off to the east. And here's Louisville, Kentucky, by God, right there. And here's our line of storms right there. So it's going to take, I still think midnight in Louisville is not a bad time, right?
Right, yeah.
Ish.
Yeah,
ish.
Give or take. 11 to 1 sometime, yeah.
They're issuing tornado warnings. Oh, that's called we love weather terms, QLCS, quasi-linear convective system, or a squall line, a line of storms. That is all moving off to the east. And there's only one storm that I think the forecast overall, a lot of this stuff came a little earlier, but the main line's coming on thing. I'm watching that little storm southwest of Bowling Green. So that came out of nowhere. And Mallory and I talked at 11:30 this morning, and we had a little chat about some of these rogue isolated cells. And in the chat room, the Weather Service was just talking about that particular storm. Fire down by Fort Campbell, looking at the environment with support severe. There's a little bit of warm air just off the deck that may control things. That's a cell we just have to watch, because that would affect our friends in Grayson, Ohio, Hart, Butler, Breckinridge counties, and that one just needs to be watched. But that line is moving from the northwest to the east-southeast, and It's going to get busy. I'm sorry to hear this during the night team and Doug Profit. Storms will be moving in between 11 and 1 a.m. Midnight's not a bad time as this thing moves, and they're issuing a lot of warnings. Very proactive warnings from the Weather Service out of Central Illinois, St. Louis, and the Paducah office, and about every other one is a tornado warning, Mallory.
Yeah, definitely seeing that along that leading edge. So, I mean, that main line that we've been talking about. So this is kind of, quote unquote, the main show that we were paying attention to all over the last several days. The reason why we issued this weather impact alert for this evening and into tonight as well. And this is why we were talking about overnight warnings, having ways to receive that when you might be sleeping, because this was the main line that we were really paying attention to. Now we're getting all this activity, obviously, currently in the Kentuckiana viewing area as we await this main line that's off to our northwest. And as John mentioned, will probably be during the night team, 11 p.m. into midnight as well. And then we're watching this one lone storm. I believe I just heard we have an earth cam that we can take from South Central Kentucky potentially, if that shows any activity there.
I'm gonna look at the national radar while you do that.
Okay, so where is this out of, guys? Scottsville? Scottsville, okay. So obviously much of South Central Kentucky is quiet. And we were really watching Western Kentucky, especially for any kind of supercell risk today. The cap seems to be holding, I suppose. I mean, that's a good thing, right?
Yep.
We've had a lot of cloud cover today.
Yep. Cloud cover was a blessing, folks.
Whew.
You know why we're saved? Cloud cover.
Cloud cover. There's so much shear down there when you were looking at model data. So you're just seeing some wind down there in South Central Kentucky, but thankfully things not nearly as bad down there as they could be. Back here at home, we are mainly watching a flooding threat, heavy rainfall, gusty winds. As we've been mentioning, I mean, every time I check the National Weather Service chat, I feel like there's more reports. Multiple trees down near French Lick, State Road 145. That's Du Bois County, Orange County. Multiple trees down, a lot of trees down, trees blocking traffic, also down across potential power lines. That's also Du Bois County. They've gotten a lot of reports in there tonight. But yeah, we've just been watching due to those strong winds that we had earlier. And now on top of this, you're having rain. If the ground gets saturated, that can make it easier for trees to fall when another strong gust of wind rolls through later on tonight. So. Right now, we're just watching this very heavy rainfall threat. For those of you all joining us on the stream, if you've joined us partially the way through, I'm Chief Meteorologist Mallory Schnell here in WHAS 11 News in Louisville, Kentucky. I'm joined alongside by meteorologists Austin Evans and John Gordon. And we popped on the television here in Louisville because we did have a tornado warning earlier this evening. I believe, was that around 7:30 or so-ish?
Yeah.
Sometime between 7:30 and 8. The times already kind of run together. But that was down near LaGrange, Kentucky, moving into Eminence and Newcastle. Thankfully, that rotation kind of broadened out a bit, became more of a straight line wind threat. So beyond that point, we saw severe thunderstorm warnings. And now this has transitioned into a flooding really concern. And so we have flash flood warnings in effect for the Louisville metro area and also up near Madison, Indiana, Scottsburg as well, where we've had some very heavy rainfall causing flooding concerns. This is a multiple round event, so we're currently watching the storms right now that are below severe limits, just causing heavy rainfall, lightning, gusty winds at times, and then that main event that we've been watching off to our west and northwest. And for those who just are interested in the 7-day forecast, because it is Derby week, it is Louisville, Kentucky, right? Beyond today, we do have the potential for more scattered storms tomorrow. Greatest threat for severe storms tomorrow will be down to our southwest, but areas along and south of the parkways could get a bit stormy. We'll have some lingering showers Wednesday morning as our team is at the track in the morning for the morning show. Beyond that, cooler temperatures on the way for Derby weekend. Could see a passing shower Friday. One of the models have that, but expect some chilly morning lows in the 40s in Louisville, potentially upper 30s outside of the city. And then we start to rebound heading into next week. So it'll be a cooler Derby, but any Derby that we have that's not a super muddy one is a good one. So looking forward to some drier weather to wrap up the week here.
Not saying it won't be at least a little bit muddy with all the rain that we're getting right now, but at least it won't be actively raining. That's what the forecast says at this time. Hopefully it won't evolve in anything
It won't be
different
2018.
from that, yeah, or most of the recent derbies that are popping up into my head. But this is a radar situation right now. We got some heavy rain moving through a decent portion of Kentuckiana. There is a bit of a gap right there. We got a little bit of a gap trying to pop up kind of over Palmyra, Sellersburg, English, Indiana. Corden is just a little bit of a hole in the convection, which is a good thing. And thankfully, at this point, we don't have to worry about, clouds opening up and the sun increasing that instability. We don't have the sun out anymore, so that will help us at least a little bit. Doug asked me earlier during the 6:30 if the storms moving through so late at night would lower their intensity because of the lack of the lowered instability at night. And unfortunately, there's a lot of wind energy with this, but it will be interesting to see how this line that's on the way that we are keeping an eye on, that'll probably be moving through during the night team at 11. It'll be interesting to see how this line interacts with our atmosphere, especially with our atmosphere having been sustaining all this rain and all these storms and all that wind throughout the last couple of hours. So it'll be really interesting to see what goes on there. In fact, it looks like one of these warnings is a tornado emergency.
Which one?
Centralia.
Okay.
Right north of Centralia, because it's popping up purple on my radar.
Let's take a look at that. Yeah.
We don't usually see that. That's why it jumped out at me so much. But let's take a look at this real quick while I am able to. We're gonna do our best to see some sort of rotational signature. This is really far away, but this is the rotation area appears to be right just north of Santa Fe. This is are we still in Illinois? We're just, we're still in Illinois, but this is in Illinois, but it has
it's observed, that's why.
Yeah, so we have, there's a tornado on the ground kind of near Santa Fe, Carlisle, Illinois.
East, Carlisle, I used to play golf there. Carlisle, that's just a little bit east of St. Louis, moving east at 50. It's observed. Did they say it was radar indicated or actually? Well, they got radar confirmed. There you go. They must have had a TDS. So I have to go to Central Illinois and St. I'll look at that. Let me take a look.
You can see that little nub right there.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to have to worry about, folks. If you plot that, Mallory, that's going to move into our like Jasper in 3 hours.
Right.
that area. We have to beware of those nubs later on tonight.
And this whole line is very, very strong with the structure, lots of widespread rain. It's not a particularly wide line of storms, so if it moves through quickly, it may be over quickly. It's just what it does in the moment that we're going to be very concerned with. So with hope, it moves through quickly. But we got a lot of heavy stuff on the way. And then these ones in the south, I'm also pretty concerned with because they're kind of by themselves. And they will likely join the line as they get closer to Kentuckiana. But right now, they're kind of by themselves. And if they stayed by themselves, that's when we could have more discrete supercell situations that I really don't want to see.
So the newsroom, you may want to check on this. Scanner reports, several scanner reports of a house fire on Bluff Ridge Road in Utica. That's in the Quarry Estates on Utica by the big bridge. We're not sure if this is a lightning strike. So the Bluff Ridge Fire Department called in additional manpower and equipment. So newsroom, you may want to check on that.
And we'll give you updates as needed once we get that information in. I do know we have a couple of crews out looking for storm damage and stuff. I know that we have found storm damage. The crew's out. We have photojournalist Aspen Hester out along with, I believe, Alex Dieterer is out and about looking for storm damage, amongst others. So we got eyes and cameras out in Kentuckiana to keep an eye on what these storms are causing. And Mallory, you've got the graphic pulled up.
Yep.
Tell them how they can send us their photos.
Yeah, we want to see your weather photos and videos as long as you can take those safely. There's multiple ways that you can send them our direction. You can text us your photos. That's at 502-582-7290. You can also email your photos and videos into us at yourphotos@whas11.com. You can also join our Facebook page, Kentucky, Indiana Cloud Watchers. That may be difficult to do so because a lot of times we have to let you in before we allow you to post there. So email, texting will be easiest. And if you don't want to include your name, please at least include where you took that photo so we know exactly where that came from and what damage that we are looking at. So once again, if you can safely send us your photos and videos, please do so.
So if your phone just blew your eardrums out, the flash flood warning for the Louisville metro area has been upgraded to considerable because there are now several reports of water rescues. So again, we urge you to not go anywhere this evening. Cancel your plans, especially if you're in the Louisville metro. But if you have to get out, if it's not avoidable, do not drive through flooded roadways. You don't know how deep it is, you don't know what's in that water, you don't know how fast it's moving, and it will take your car, it will knock you over, and it will put you and the people that have to come and save you in a life-threatening situation. So please take the flash flooding concern that we have right now, take that very, very seriously. Mallory?
Yeah, thank you, Austin. So they went ahead and extended this flash flood warning in effect. So once again, if you just got that warning on your phone, you're included in the flash flood warning until 12:30. So that's been extended. And a lot of times we see these amplified in urban areas like the Louisville metro just due to lack of proper draining. We got a lot of streets that tend to flood under certain overpasses around the Louisville area. I know I grew up here. There are certain areas that tend to flood quicker than others, and also even just the interstates. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up and see if we have any additional accidents, because we were talking about that, getting very heavy rainfall and also gusty winds, lowering visibility at times. We're still seeing that slowdown that we were talking about from a previous accident there, I-65 southbound around the airport, approaching the Waterson. And I'm going to pull up Trimark just very quickly while we are on streaming to see.
This flash flood threat is really bad in the city.
Yeah.
There's lots of red on the traffic map, I guarantee.
So I-65 south, we were just talking about that. Around the Waterson in Jefferson County, left shoulder, left two lanes are blocked there. It looks like other than that, we have a disabled vehicle on 65 North Ramp to St. Catherine Street in Jefferson County. Thankfully, those are the only two accidents I'm seeing right now. So hopefully you all are watching this from home. You're in for the night. It's 9 o'clock in the evening, and you can just allow this rain to fall outside, and hopefully you don't have too much damage to deal with. But once again, we've been watching that flash flood warning that is life-threatening now for the Louisville metro area until 12:30.
Yeah, so let's do something a little different. That line that just passed through Louisville, that is getting a more linear, stronger appearance.
Yeah.
So if you're in from Eminence to, I'm just looking at the map here, Shelbyville. Eminence to Shelbyville, definitely getting a strong wind threat. I would expect 45 to 50 mile an hour winds in Shelbyville. At the exit 35 and 32 and over towards Eminence as you go north on 53. All those areas, extremely heavy rain and near zero visibility because the heavy rain with the wind. Not a good situation. Hydroplanes, wet lanes, don't hydroplane.
Right. So this is, I see exactly what John's talking about. So where you're seeing more of that linear, it really pops on the radar there, where we're likely seeing that line of some stronger
like from
winds.
Newcastle down to Taylorsville.
Right there. So even if it's not, quote, severe, it doesn't mean it's not very impactful, can still cause tree damage, and as John keeps mentioning, can cause some major traveling kind of headaches and also safety concerns with lack of visibility and also just with hydroplaning concerns. So these are the storms that we're seeing right now. We have all this activity that we've been watching around Louisville, down to Shepherdsville, Bullitt County, over to Corydon, up to Newcastle. That's going to push off to the east. And then we have additional storms up here near Paoli, Orange County, up to Bedford, over to Seymour. And then you'll notice this is that main line here. So it's still a few hours away, but it's not too far. So watching some tornado warnings all along this line. Anytime you see red, those are your tornado warnings in place.
And we just got in from the newsroom. This is from Indiana Department of Transportation. I-64 westbound at mile marker 123.4. It's in Floyd County. An entrance ramp from Spring Street is closed due to flooding.
Yeah.
The duration, they don't know how long it's going to stay closed. So that is significant flooding for portions of southern Indiana. Again, I-64 westbound, the entrance ramp from Spring Street to Floyd County is closed due to flooding, and they don't know for how long.
Put that in the chat room, would you?
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. Yeah, the other area I want to really hit flooding, they're not under flash flood warning, but I would put you under is Orange County, Paoli. Very heavy rain in the Paoli area. And Paoli has flooding problems anyway with the creek in town. So from French Lick to Paoli to Stampers Creek, up to Orangeville, Orleans, all that area, if you're on 150, all that area, really incredible heavy rainfall rates and possible flash flooding. All I would consider yourself under flash flooding if you were in Orange County right now.
Yeah, so I mean, this is what we're looking at here for the next couple of hours until we get that main line. Flooding, flooding, flooding. That's our reoccurring theme here. So we want you to take it as seriously as you would a severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning. Be inside. Don't try to drive through flooded roadways. Don't try to drive around any kind of barricades because, you know, your life could be in danger there due to the amount of rain that we've been seeing pouring over the same areas here over the evening hours and into now the early overnight. So we're still seeing a lot of reds. This is starting to inch its way out of Jefferson County, at least on the south side there, south of the Watterson. And then we have additional storms that are still moving west to east across a very similar path that we saw earlier this evening in southern Indiana. So flooding will be an increased concern there, as John mentioned. And then we wait. This is going to be a long night because we're waiting for this line to roll through here. So this activity that we're seeing, let's see, Effingham up to Union. Is it Lafayette in Indiana or is it said Lafayette? Anybody know?
I'd go Lafayette.
I don't know that. Someone will correct me.
Every place I've lived around the country says it.
She's very nice.
Says it differently. I mean, yeah. But that's stretching all the way from, you know, northern Indiana into Illinois and then over into Missouri. So that's the main line that we're watching for the early overnight hours to move basically as you see the general direction it's moving.
So the 3-hour rainfall rates, let's just do a couple of these. So if you're on Paoli, Orange County, southern part of Orange County, you've gotten, almost 3 inches of rain, allegedly. Let's go a little bit further east. Let's go up to our friends in Madison and Clifty Falls, over to Hanover. You've gotten 2.5 inches rain in the last 3 hours. Our friends a little bit to the north, up towards just south of Bedford and Mitchell, down just west of French Lick, you've gotten another 2 inches of rain in the last 3 hours. So rain on top of rain leads to
flooding.
Flooding, that's right. Turn around, don't drown. Kids, tell your parents to learn this, live it. Turn around, don't drown, wet lanes, don't hydroplane. Very heavy rain, Orange County right now, one of the strongest areas. And Louisville Metro, we're hearing water rescues and all kinds of stuff. Please, please, please be safe out there. If you don't need to be out, stay home and enjoy yourself at home. Don't go out and risk your family.
I think it's safe to say any outdoor Kentucky Derby Festival things that would have been happening tonight anyway have been canceled.
A little wet.
It's not a at this point not worth getting out in this. And then if you come into the city and then, you know, the place where you parked gets flooded, then, well, then you're stuck and you can't go anywhere. So no new updates from the National Weather Service. We're keeping an eye on that. We have had a deluge of reports from wind damage, trees down, power lines down. We got a whole bunch of power outages across the Louisville Metro and up into southern Indiana. Real quick note, if you're wondering why we suddenly start flooding despite the fact that we've been talking about needing the rain, well, yes, we need the rain, but we need it steadily over the course of several days, not, you know, inches all at once, because now the ground has been so dry and has been so dry for so long that it's having trouble absorbing the water before it gets replenished with water. So the ground is working against how heavy the rain is falling, and that's why we've got such a that is one of the reasons why we have such a flash flooding concern right now. And we're not done with that, because in the next couple of hours we'll start to see this main line move in. That's going to contain even more very heavy rain that's going to drop potentially inches of rain over the course of an hour on any given area. And again, this purple box that you're seeing, that's a confirmed tornado that is just to the east of St. Louis that they are working on. This line moving into Kentuckiana, likely around 11 o'clock, 11:30. We'll be tracking this during the night, team, definitely. And a reminder, in Indiana, the entrance ramp from Spring Street onto I-64 westbound is closed due to flooding. Mm-hmm. And there's a water rescue on Clark Memorial Bridge, according to what I'm seeing in our newsroom chat. So there's a water rescue been reported on Clark Memorial Bridge. And we have, again, reporters and photojournalists out to get pictures, video of the damage and whatnot that we are seeing. You're taking a live look at our Bachman Auto Group U of L Health downtown camera overlooking the Ohio River into Indiana. You can see that there's some pretty slow moving traffic on the bridge there, and it appears some lights showing up. I'm not for sure the nature of those lighted vehicles, but they are on their way into Indiana at this time. And you're working on getting our Jeffersonville camera working and pulled up too, so we'll be able to show that here relatively soon.
Right, I'm trying to get different angles of this because I don't have much information. You obviously see the emergency lights there, that's zoomed out. I can also take this other camera, if we're keeping on stream 4 here, of our Jeffersonville camera, and you can see the emergency lights on the bridge. So they must be crossing the bridge. Where they're going, like I said, we don't have a lot of information here, but that was just put in one of our chats within the newsroom. So somewhere around the Clark Memorial Bridge, there must be a stranded car. And
we got a picture into the Storm Reports channel that we have for the newsroom from Elizabeth Robbins. Thank you for sending this photo in Germantown / Schnitzelberg, which I'm now learning is a place, on the 900 block of Ash Street. Got a tree down, and so again, thank you, Elizabeth, for that picture that will and the location with that tree down, hopefully not down across any vehicles. I'm seeing vehicles close to the tree, but I'm not seeing anything under it. It's a large tree too. It looks like it might have clipped a residential structure. It looks like it might have clipped a house, but I'm not seeing any catastrophic damage. Thankfully, I'm not seeing a tree on a house or anything, but it might have just clipped it, and that road now impassable. Again, that's the 900 block of Ash Street in Germantown / Schnitzelberg.
All right, thank you, Austin. Yeah, I have a feeling that many of us We'll be hearing the sound of maybe some chainsaws tomorrow morning as a lot of us are cleaning up from some wind damage. A lot of tree damage reports coming in and rolling into the area. I'm also looking at, I have the National Weather Service chat pulled up. That just is an area for us to communicate with the National Weather Service and also see storm reports that emergency management or viewers are sending them as well. A lot of trees down. Flash flooding in the Portland area between W.J. Hodge Street and Portland Avenue. Dr. W.J. Hodge Street and Portland Avenue in Portland in the Louisville area. Also getting some homes that are starting to take on a bit of water, maybe in the basement areas. And as we were talking about the entrance ramp from Spring Street onto 64 westbound in New Albany, obviously a big entrance ramp there is closed due to flooding. And
you can see right there, you got it pulled up, Benson Road in Shelby County, 6 poles broken, main transmission line down, several other areas with trees and lines down, not as significant according to this message into the National Weather Service, but that's Benson Road again in Shelby County. A whole bunch of power poles broken, main transmission lines are down amongst other trees and power lines down in Shelby County that their emergency management has sent in to the National Weather Service. And John Gordon, you were talking about Orange County to the NWS.
Just got reports of some new flooding in Orange County south of there. As far as I'm concerned, you're under a flash flood warning if you're in Orange County. Flood advisory is not enough. This is some very heavy rain in Orange County. So let's look at the big picture. I want to show you 2 things. Here's the wide range that Mallory and I have been chatting about forever. Look to the west. They are issuing a lot of warnings. So if you're all out there west of Terre Haute and the Wabash, out to Effingham, and this thing's Bowen north of Centralia, that thing will be a problem as that moves east if it can maintain itself. Now let's go to the short range and look at us. So right now there's one area. It's just east of Louisville, an area just west of Frankfort. This area along Interstate 64 from Shelbyville southward down towards Taylorsville, moving off to the east. Torrential rainfall and winds, I would say minimum of 40 miles an hour, but visibility's down to near zero. Very heavy rain in there. More heavy rain to the northwest of Louisville, Orange, Washington, up towards Bedford and Seymour. Very heavy rain in there, but if you notice, I continue to say there's a little bit of a break. You always got to look for the positives, right, Mallory? Got to look for some positives in the midst of this.
Yeah, you got to try, right?
The really good thing is this one rogue cell way to the southwest. That's down by Muhlenberg County, west of Morgantown. That's not in our area. That thing has been sub-severe. I was worried if the sun had come out earlier and this thing had formed, it would not be good.
If the sun had come out earlier, we would be on air right now.
Yeah, right.
But that storm not able to get severe is giving me some hope that when this main line moves in, that maybe it will hit a wall of maybe lowered instability. Again, that's the hope. That's not necessarily what's going to be the reality, and it's probably not going to be the reality. But we've had a lot of activity in the atmosphere already, and that does things to the atmosphere, and it helps it balance it out a little bit. So hopefully this line won't be quite as bad, but it's still looking really, really strong with multiple warnings still on it. It looks like the confirmed tornado warning has been removed, and hopefully that's because maybe it lifted. So this line is still really, really strong and is approaching Kentuckiana rather quickly.
And as we were talking about earlier, if you have any weather photos or videos that you can safely capture and send our direction, here is the information for you to do so. You can text 502-582-7290. You can also email your photos at yourphotos@whes11.com. You can also, for the future, join our Facebook page. That's Kentucky Indiana Cloud Watchers. I just asked, if you do submit a photo, please tell us where you took the photo from. Obviously, that's very important. If you'd like to include at least your first name, we can give you credit for that. But at the very least, show us where you sent the photos from. And on that topic, I believe we do have some viewer photos sent in of the tree damage. This was, once again, out of Germantown, Schnitzelburg area. Elizabeth Robbins sent that in. That is a hefty tree that's down right in the middle of the road. So thankfully, it looks like it dodged the cars, it dodged the houses, but that street is completely blocked off there.
Yeah, and once it gets back to the first picture, you can see it's in the top right of the picture how thick that tree trunk is. That is a large, large tree that I think may just clipped that gray house in the background, but clipped is a lot easier to deal with than it just straight up falling onto it. So,
and this is the 900 block of Ash Street in Germantown, Schnitzelburg area. The 900 block of Ash Street. So
okay? Let me say something about Louisville. For the folks in Louisville, what's happened in the last 15 minutes is most of this action has outflowed and pushing to the south and east. We're getting a nice break here, believe it or not, which we need one here pretty soon. The break will happen very soon as it's pushing off. You notice most of that rain is out of the metro right now. Just want to give you some light and hope. Well, that means good news for Louisville. Bad news is that's for Spencer County. Spencer, Shelby, and counties in eastern Bullitt, east of Shepherdsville, extremely heavy rainfall rates. Between Shelbyville and Taylorsville. Shelbyville and Taylorsville, high water could occur on some of the low spots on some of those roads that go between Shelbyville and Taylorsville. Please slow down. Wet lanes don't hydroplane. Turn around, don't drown. But a big break for the metro, Mallory.
yeah, and we need whatever break we can get. I know Austin's working on getting up a traffic map, but we just got word that the Watterson eastbound just past Crittenden Drive, all lanes are blocked due to an accident. So this is, once again, Watterson eastbound just past Crittenden Drive. Kind of in the same area of, 65 and 264 there. So I'm going to also zoom into what I'm seeing here.
And
do we have a camera in that area?
That's what I'm working to look, and I'm trying to get confirmation. I do want to really quickly make a correction. The Clark Memorial, not a water rescue. It was reported as a rescue, but MetroSafe says it's something different. So just wanted to correct that situation. I'm glad it's not a water rescue.
Right. I was curious as to how that came to be, but
yeah, thankfully that is, it's not a water rescue. Just wanted to correct that for the record. So we're looking at I-264 near the airport.
if you find the camera near Freedom Way,
that
may help.
Yep, I got that one. Hopefully it works, and we have it up right there. That's not at the Watterson. We're just going to get rid of this box and not worry about it. This is the Watterson at Freedom Way, and we have all lanes blocked due to flooding or as a disabled vehicle blocking the lanes, and that is the eastbound lane near mile marker 11.3, just past Crittenden Drive. All left shoulder, all lanes, right shoulder blocked, and they estimate this duration to be an hour, but they are dealing with a cleanup in the middle of quite heavy rain. So.
Yeah, so probably if it is a single car accident, potentially a hydroplaning issue, maybe slammed into a barrier there. And once again, that's 264 eastbound, so right around the airport. Usually this becomes a black line when all lanes are closed, but I think the traffic computer is a little slow here. But you can see obviously the deep red, that's as you're approaching 65 and the airport. We were pulling up the camera there at the Watterson at Freedom Way, right past Crittenden Drive there. So it does look like maybe traffic has improved a bit, 65 southbound, but now we're watching the Watterson eastbound right around the airport due to a single vehicle accident that has closed all lanes.
As I was getting this ready, traffic was moving a little more on I-65 south before I swapped the camera to this one. So at least that was, they were able to get traffic moving a little bit more.
I want to talk about this line. Let's talk about this line. If Mallory will track it here as I'm talking. This line east of Louisville is really starting to intensify just a tad. I think the winds are getting close to 50 miles an hour. This is almost on the edge of our viewing area to the east. Frankfort down to Lawrenceburg and Anderson County. I think you can expect 50-mile-an-hour winds and near zero visibility. This is going to be heading, if you're heading to Lexington, I wouldn't be doing it, but if you are, Lexington and Georgetown and that area, you're going to get a torrential rainstorm and a bunch of wind. As this moves off to the east, you want to track that out then to show them that area?
Yes, so what we're looking at here, as John mentioned, is this kind of, you can see it on the radar there, that thinner band of wind in the eastern edge of our viewing area. So do we have any ground wind reports that we've gotten from Mesonet or anything? Let me check and see. But definitely some strong winds there that are pushing off to the east. No warnings on them, but still, as we've seen all night,
and they're
tree
upgrading
damage.
those flood advisories to flash flood warnings, Mallory, orange and Washington. It's coming out imminently.
Just as you've been talking about all night, right, John?
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's official now. It's official word.
Yes. So moving into the Frankfort area, some strong winds there that we're seeing along that leading edge of this line. It's moving out of the Louisville metro area. Wind is lessening there, but you can kind of see these deeper reds. That's pushing into eastern Shelby County, eastern Spencer County, and into Franklin County as well. So we're going to wait to see the update on the flood warnings in place, but those should be coming shortly. We still, of course, have flash flood warnings in effect for the Louisville metro area. Okay, until 12:30. So we just heard from our producer that that accident that we were talking about on the Watterson eastbound was basically a stalled vehicle in flooded water. So it wasn't due to a crash. It was due to basically a water rescue. So, and that's on the Watterson. So that goes to show you that take this flash flood warning seriously that we have in place until 12:30. Stay inside if you can, because we are dealing with some very heavy rainfall. We did bring some good news in that the Louisville metro area is getting a bit of a break as these heavier storms are pushing down to the south and east into Bullitt County, Spencer, Shelby, moving out of Henry County and toward the Frankfort area, so the state capital there. And then all this activity that you're seeing off to the northwest, where we're expecting that additional flash flood warning to be issued around Orange County here soon.
And in Orange County, the National Weather Service is saying that their, quote, usual roads are flooded currently. So thinking around Louisville, and Mallory, you mentioned it a few minutes ago, the roads that usually flood in Orange County, the roads that usually flood are flooded. So if you know where those locations are, great. Commit that to memory and tell people around you, because you know that type of information is really, really good to just have out in the community. And the same thing is happening in Orange County. Also in Oldham County, the usual roads that have flooded are the usual roads that flood have flooded. Nothing out of the ordinary for heavy rain. That's a good and bad thing. One, heavy rain shouldn't cause flooding that often, but at least it's not out of the ordinary. It's not a mind-blowing flooding situation in Oldham County, where a good chunk of the tree and power line situations have been reported from that first really strong line of thunderstorms that moved through. So we'll continue to monitor National Weather Service, and we also have our newsroom chat up that is showing that they're feeding us information as needed. That's how we got the information about the vehicle stuck in water that's blocked all the lanes on I-264 and whatnot. So we'll continue to monitor all of this at the same time that we monitor this here rain that is behind us. Still a lot of heavy stuff moving through Taylorsville. Again, this line appearing to strengthen just a little bit. Lots of heavy rain, and that leading edge that's just about out of Kentuckiana. This leading edge right here is where some pretty strong wind is going to be, kind of following I-64. Lawrenceburg, if you happen to be watching in Lawrenceburg, you got a pretty nasty storm on the way. It's not severe, but it is very strong, and it could get severe as it moves into an area that's been relatively untouched with storm activity so far this evening. Mallory?
All right, thank you, Austin. I'm just catching up with all of our chats. We get fed a lot of information, which is good when we're doing continuous coverage like this, just making sure that there's nothing new here. But for anybody who's hopping on this stream late, hi, welcome. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mallory Schnell here at WHAS 11 News in Louisville, Kentucky, wherever you may be viewing this stream from. I'm joined alongside by meteorologist Austin Evans and meteorologist John Gordon in the Weather Center tonight. And we hopped on coverage tonight due to a tornado warning. Thankfully, we've only had one so far this evening. That was for this, quote, appetizer round that has really become a flooding threat. But obviously, we've gotten a lot of reports into our newsroom about tree damage and power outages. So we've been seeing that with the severe thunderstorm warnings that were in play, and even the storms that weren't strong enough to be warned, but still carried a 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gust threat. So you might be waking up to some tree damage tomorrow morning. And now with all this activity, yes, we have flooding concerns that are certainly popping up. And then we wait for this line that we keep talking about that's currently off to our northwest, congealing with a strong wind threat and an embedded tornado threat as well. So that's the reason why we do have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 4 o'clock. In the morning for all the counties that you see here in yellow.
And they'll probably shave counties off that watch as the main line moves through. But yeah, pretty much I-64 and north under that severe thunderstorm watch until 4 a.m.
Yes.
You know, it's interesting on our stuff. You see the outflow boundary on the Louisville radar. So that's keeping this stuff out of Louisville right now, which is a wonderful thing. Some of the heavier stuff, at least right now. That's all moving off to the east. The heavy rain. If you're in Lawrenceburg and Frankfurt, I'm telling you, Lawrenceburg and Frankfurt can have a lot of heavy rain. Lawrenceburg and Frankfurt right now looks like the heaviest thing right now, moving off to the east.
All right, thank you, John. I do want to pull up, if we can, Max one again. We're starting to see, as we've been verbally mentioning a lot of these storm reports that are being put in real time into all these various chats that we have both with our newsroom and the National Weather Service. And once the National Weather Service kind of files them in place, we can bring them up on the map here. And this is not to say that there's not more damage in this, because of course there probably is. But this is what's been collected in our system so far. You're seeing flood right over Louisville, also wind damage into southern Indiana, some hail reports from earlier today when we did have storms that were a bit more elevated and dropping quite a bit of hail. I saw a video out of, I believe it was Salem earlier today, of a decent hailer there, and also some wind damage downstream just outside of Oldham County, it looks like, as well. So I can always zoom into these and kind of see which flood reports. I'm sure a lot of these were the ones that we've already mentioned tonight. This one just says homes or buildings filled with water, which I don't have more information than that. But flash flooding, it looks like, what is that? West of Germantown, approaching Louisville. And in addition to that, we were talking about flooding up in the Portland area, and also this flooding. This is the street, or the on-ramp to I-64 westbound in New Albany from Spring Street that's closed due to flooding. So those have all been factored in here. In addition to that, we've been talking about the wind reports and the tree damage that we've been seeing around the area. Some wind gust reports that have come in officially, power lines down in Floyd's Knobs, and more tree reports down up near Greenville as well. Our producers do have a live look. Where is this out of? Excuse me, sorry. Out of Missouri for this line that's off to our west. So if we want to take a look at that, we can.
And while we're getting that pulled up, LG&E from the newsroom, LG&E is reporting over 4,700 customers without power in Oldham County. In Jefferson County, excuse me, 4,700, over 4,700 in Jefferson County without power. In Oldham County, over 700 without power. And from Duke Energy, Clark County, 716 without power. Floyd County, 294 without power. That is from our newsroom, specifically Shirlene Shanklin. Thank you for getting us that information. Now we can go to that live look out in the live look is now gone, I'm being told. So we can look at that line of storms as it is moving through right now Illinois and Indiana, extending all the way up to north and west of Indianapolis. And still, we have multiple tornado warnings. It's mostly severe warned, but there are still a good few tornado warnings embedded in this. And of course, right now, we're dealing with flash flooding threats across a decent portion of southern Indiana, also down in the Louisville metro area.
Read the last one on this chat room. Read that one out loud.
Road is submerged under the train bridge. Water rescues are reported with 2 cars in the water. That's at Breckenridge Lane at 6 Mile Lane, and that is from.
Yep.
Would that be in Louisville?
Yes. So I grew up around there.
Yeah.
This area floods every time
So
there's heavy rainfall.
this is expected.
And cars get stuck every time. Guys, do not drive under that bridge at Breckenridge and 6 Mile. So yeah, I mean, anytime we've had flooding concerns here in Louisville, flash flood warnings, unfortunately, that is one of those trouble spots, just like areas around U of L tend to get flooded as well.
Probably shaped like this.
Yeah, it goes down, it fills up. Thankfully, it doesn't last long. It's usually a flash flooding situation. But yes, 2 cars submerged, Breckenridge Lane, 6 Mile Lane, 941 was the report. I grew up right around there. It happens all the time. So,
and that is going to happen again later.
Yes.
We can pretty much guarantee that with this line moving through.
Yeah, so we have the flooding threat right now, a lot of heavy rainfall moving over the same area.
And then look behind you.
We keep talking about.
It's on the Wabash.
Yeah.
Almost on the Wabash coming into our area.
Yeah, so.
And look at the lightning, prolific lightning.
It hasn't lessened like at all.
There's another song for you, Lightning Strikes. So anyway, a lot of lightning tonight.
Phew, so much lightning. Okay, let's see, Trimark once again. We were talking about the Watterson eastbound blocked there near the airport. That's still the case due to a water rescue situation. Looks like there's a new accident, Watterson west to Newburgh Road. All lanes and right shoulder blocked there. That's the ramp to get off Watterson, the Watterson west to Newburgh Road as well. In fact, let me just pull up the map here. So
we had that live. We had the live look at Missouri, but we're working on the traffic situation. KSDK, and this is storm damage in Missouri from that line of storms, severe storms that we are tracking. Hard to see anything with it being nighttime, and that's why nighttime severe weather is always so dangerous. But here is that live look, courtesy of our sister station KSDK, where I'm not for sure. Then we have a man in the frame. This is where a tornado moved through. So hopefully they can find something to really point the camera at there. I'll get back in my pod and get up back on my box and get framed up. But we will continue to monitor that. Of course, that storm again, that line and that shot there was tornado damage from the line that's on the way. So this line of storms is capable and has caused damage. So we are looking at the chat again. They're still talking about the usual roads that flood, and like we just said, the under the train bridge, the road under the train bridge, Breckenridge Lane at 6 Mile Lane at 941, it flooded, and there were 2 cars in it, and they had to be rescued.
Yeah.
So on the radar, basically, we have a lot of flash flood warnings for our friends on in parts of Du Bois, Orange, Washington, Scott over to Jefferson and Madison. And then, of course, we got a mess in the Louisville metro. Right, Mallory? Just a lot of heavy rain that has come through and water rescues and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, just one of those nights that we get every now and then where we have a lot of heavy rainfall. We have a few inches that fall over a very short period of time. And we've kind of talked about how in urban areas like the city, you know, you'll see these flash flood scenarios really amplified because of lack of proper training. And, you know, if you've lived around here long enough, you know those trouble spots as well. So just be safe. It's dark outside. It's hard to see the road probably. You know, we've had lower visibility at times. Thankfully, even though we have some incidents that are coming into Trimark due to stalled vehicles, we're not seeing a ton of, quote, accidents. So I don't think there's a ton of traffic on the road, being that it's almost 10 o'clock. Which is good news there, but just be safe, please.
Nighttime driving is already more difficult. Nighttime driving in the rain is even worse, and then we got the flooding threat, and you don't know what's in front of you. That's when you can get into those ugly situations very, very quickly. Again, turn around, don't drown, don't drive through flooded roadways, and if there are places that you know usually flood, avoid those places. Avoid going outside, but avoid those places especially. So take a look here at Max HD Radar. If you want to take it full, I'll give a nice overview of what's going on right now and what is on the way. So we have still a lot of rain moving through Kentuckiana. What we have here is about to move in to Lawrenceburg. In fact, it's right on the doorstep of Lawrenceburg. I know that's just outside of the Kentuckiana DMA, but if you happen to be watching there, you do have a pretty nasty line of storms moving in right now. Versailles, you're going to get it as well. Frankfurt also receiving that. There is a little bit of a break in between that line where Louisville is kind of sitting in, so we're getting a little bit of a break from the really heavy rain over the Louisville metro area right now, or at least the really heavy widespread rain. Still got pockets of it, like in Valley Station, Brandenburg, Fort Knox has some heavy rain there. We move to the north and west where it's just kind of pockmarked with some heavier showers, and then we get up to Salem, Brownstown, Mitchell, Bedford, where more widespread heavy rain is being observed. Then up to the north and west of that, this is the main line, the main event. Though I'm kind of considering what's been happening so far.
It's a flood event on the front edge with a little bit of wind.
Event on the front end, and then we have this main line that will be moving through. That is a line where it's warned heavily. Several tornado warnings as well.
Let's talk about that.
And I'm interested to see what it does when it moves into our air mass.
Okay.
John?
Yeah. So let's take a look. You go to my screen here. So they're issuing tornado warnings like crazy. West of Indianapolis. So if you're in Terre Haute, friends in the Wabash, over there to Mount Vernon. Everyone in Louisville goes through Mount Vernon and go to St. Louis. All these are issuing severe thunderstorm warnings, and about every 2 or 3 counties in between they issue tornado warnings. Tornado warnings their storms are moving at 50 miles an hour. So it's 50 miles an hour. Right now it's 10:01. It's going to be in Du Bois County by about 11:15 to 11:30. It'll be in Louisville between 12 and 12:30. This line is coming. Now, once it gets east of 65, there will be a downward trend as it gets towards Lexington. There will be a big change. Notice the intensity on the radar, the intensity is pretty strong. So that means you're going to get a bunch of rain and wind, and we got more rain in southern Indiana. So these flash flood warnings that are out right now, I got to look at when they expire, but they may need to extend them out a little bit longer until that comes through. The air mass that Austin alluded to is going to be a little more stable as it goes east of Louisville. But any one of our western counties, any of our counties, Du Bois, Orange, Crawford, Perry, Harrison, Meade, Breckenridge, out to Ohio, Grayson, Hardin, all these counties are going to be under severe thunder warnings somewhere between 11:15 and 1:30 in the morning. We have more warnings coming. I'm telling you, it's coming. So if you decide to go to bed, please have 2 ways to receive your warnings. Have a way to wake you up if you need to go to a safe shelter. I would not be surprised to see some tornado warnings, especially in our northwestern communities, Lawrence, Jennings, Jackson, Du Bois, all those counties up there in our northwest. I would not be surprised to see more warnings in about an hour and a half or so.
Yeah, and the National Weather Service was keeping an eye, is keeping an eye on everything. Obviously, that's what they do. But they're talking about the near-term hazard being the flash flooding. But they were also mentioning the air mass, just as we happen to be talking about it. And they are noticing instability dropping off as you head eastward, which
East
is
to 65,
expected. Which is what we've been expecting too. East to 65, things get more stable. So they are expecting once this line moves in, and this does not mean things are all clear, but they are expecting as this line moves in, moves through, to gradually weaken as it moves through. The thing is, though, once it moves into Kentuckiana, it's going to be pretty much at full strength before it begins to weaken. So that's why John was discussing the likelihood of severe thunderstorm warnings and the potential for tornado warnings, especially in the western and northwestern zones of Kentucky.
One thing that's going to help us, I'm going to get a wind in Mount Vernon here soon when it goes through Mount Vernon on 64, and that's at 57-64 intersection. And then we'll have another good idea, folks, when it goes through Evansville like we did a month ago. Evansville is a really good help at the airport there in Vanderburgh County. We'll get that information, and that will help with the decision making. But I basically say if you're in Du Bois, Martin, Lawrence, Jackson, Orange, Crawford, Perry counties, you're going to be under severe thunderstorm warnings in about an hour and a half-ish. And once that's through, it's done. It's
Then you
done.
can go to
It's
bed.
done, Mallory. Once this line comes through, and you may notice a change in the air mass just a tad, maybe just a tad.
Just a
less,
tad.
Yeah, a little tad less dry. More dry, yeah.
Yeah, so we've been talking about, obviously, the rounds of storms here, how it's a multiple punch event where we're dealing with, we had some severe storms earlier. Now Louisville's kind of in the break of the severity, but we've been dealing with the aftermath with the flooding, obviously both within the Louisville metro area and into southern Indiana as well. A phrase that we like to use a lot in the weather community is training when we're talking about thunderstorms or just storms moving in the same areas over and over and over again. And I was watching storms earlier this evening in this same corridor, and you'll notice where a lot of these storms have been concentrated. Obviously north of the parkways, but a lot of them for much of this evening were along and north of 64 until they started to make that little southern trend there into Spencer, Shelby counties, and the surrounding areas just within the last hour or so. But yeah, all eyes are on this. Big wind threat, another noisy line. I mean, just take a look at that lightning. Prolific lightning all along that line, and some of these embedded tornado warnings that are off to our northwest.
So you're getting a lot of lightning. Why are we getting a lot of lightning? Because there's still a lot of wind energy with this whole system.
Yeah. Wind energy is off the charts with this. So I know a lot of times we think, oh, well, the sun's set. We don't have the fuel. We can override that with a setup like this. So
That's what Doug asked me about right at the end of the 6:30 before that first tornado warning, if we would see things weaken once the sun goes down. And in a more typical supercellular situation, yes, we would. But with this situation that we have over us, a lot of wind energy, a lot of helicity, which is a measure that we take into account when forecasting for severe weather, a lot of that. And in general, just a very dynamically involved storm above the surface. So that's why we're not seeing much of a weakening state, though again, I am interested to see how this line interacts with our region once it does move in, because there has been a lot of activity in our atmosphere, especially the northern half of Kentuckiana.
yeah, so it's kind of a waiting game. Right now we're in the flooding threat. We're waiting for that line. I'm kind of hopping in and out of some of the National Weather Service Indianapolis chat for some of their counties. They're seeing reports of 60 to 70 mile per hour winds, pea-sized hail, of course, as well. And they have some embedded tornado reports that you're seeing in the red here along the Indiana-Illinois line, and then also north of the Indianapolis metro. For us, green, flash flood warnings. Once again, these basically stretch now from Paoli over to Madison, up to Bedford. That one's been in place for hours now. And then our main one right over the Louisville metro area for the next few hours here. So we are getting a bit of a break in terms of radar activity lessening. more scattered in nature, but still a lot more to come before we wrap things up late tonight and into early tomorrow morning.
And they were also discussing a few minutes ago in that same paragraph about the meso situation. They were discussing the potential for maybe some storms to fire off ahead of the line. It is possible. I doubt they'd be all that strong. They'd probably be pretty loud like everything else is being. But we'll keep an eye out for that. But it does look like we have a little bit of a break kind of going on in the middle of Kentuckiana, right around Louisville, though that is beginning to fill in. Then we have this break before the main line. The good news is the sun's not going to come out and, heat everything back up and destabilize the things even more. But still, like we were just saying, it's not an instability issue that we have. We have a lot of wind energy and energy in general. So that line is still going to be very strong as it enters Kentuckiana.
Yeah, so the one storm that's got my attention is up in Washington County, up just northwest of Salem. There's a bit of a surge moving from the northwest to the southeast. So if you're north and east of Salem, you could expect some very strong winds of 40 to 50 miles an hour. That's between Salem and Little York. See that little surge of wind that's pushing through right now? It's about 3 miles northwest of Salem. Very heavy rain, once again, we've heard that over and over and over, but yeah, very heavy rain. And the big stuff is off to the west, and they'll be here before you know it. Du Bois County, Martin County, you got about an hour and 20 minutes, 11:20, 11:30, something like that. That should be in our northwestern counties. And then the Weather Service has got to deal with these flash flood warnings, because in the midst of all this wind, these warnings will be expiring. So I'm not sure what they're going to do. That's always a hassle. But yeah, there's more heavy rain with this line. Number one threat, it will be wind. The number two threat will be heavy rain. And then there'll be isolated tornado threat on the line, Mallory.
That's right. Yep. So we're all just waiting with you guys tonight for this main line to roll through. It's going to be a late night. Let's see. I'm looking at some additional reports. Jefferson County, Indiana, several streets in downtown Madison and North Madison that are closed due to flooding. Anything else? A lot of Du Bois County. Tree down on residents in Oldham County.
It looks like someone from KYTC is about to put something into the chat. They're typing there, so we'll wait for that report.
Yeah, and the latest from the LG&E map, 8,000 customers without power. So if you happen to still have power, now is the time to make sure your devices are charged, because take a look at what's to come. A lot more wind energy, more rain on the way, more potential power outages as we carry on into tonight. And you need ways to receive those alerts, of course, once they're issued. So please make sure you're staying safe and staying up to date with the latest. We'll continue to stream on here leading up to our 11 o'clock newscast. And then we're on, of course, on air as well on WHAS 11 at 11.
And what they were saying from the Kentucky Department of Transportation, 45 mile per hour wind gust in Anderson County, 3.5 miles east-southeast of Lawrenceburg. So I did mention that there was a pretty nasty storm about to move into Lawrenceburg. It's moved. The leading edge has moved through it, but they're still getting some pretty strong wind gusts. And John Gordon just pulled up the Kentucky Mesonet. And
lots of 40s in there in that band.
A bunch of 40s right in that area. Again, that's Lawrenceburg, Versailles. You're about to see, you're getting the leading edge of it right now.
Salvisa, that's Mercer County. Yeah.
That's it looks like salsa, but you'll.
That does sound good right now.
You're getting that leading edge of that storm too. Again, this is sub-severe, and there's not really any hail associated with it, but frequent cloud-to-ground lightning being noted by the National Weather Service.
Our sister town, Louisville, Illinois, tornado warning in Illinois, and I got my eye, and I looked at that storm and torrential downpours. That's near the Wabash, and it's got a lot of wind energy still as it is approaching the state line of Illinois into Indiana. Vincennes, home of Red Skelton, moving off to the east at about 50 miles an hour. And before you know it, it's going to be in Vincennes and Princeton and Evansville. And this part of the forecast really is on track, Mallory. The second part, the earlier part was not handled that well.
This has been an interesting day, huh? Yeah, so when, you know, we live and die by the models, right? The reason we issued this weather impact alert was for this main line that we're watching off to the northwest tonight, and that's bringing that wind threat and potential tornado threat as well embedded. You know, you can tell that this is a pretty nasty line here, but we had some scattered activity late this morning into the afternoon that carried a hail threat. Those kind of popped up, lifted off to the north and dissipated a bit. And then we had all this activity in southern Indiana through the early evening shows that then kind of sunk its way down to the south with the outflow boundary. The data did not handle that part very well. But this part, yes, still on really time here. We were talking about likely after 10 p.m. This was looking to be a very late night for this line, and it's going to take a few hours to push down to the southeast throughout our viewing area. And once that leading edge, once this moves through your area, you are in the clear. But right now we're kind of in the break where we're dealing with the flooding due to this round and then more storms on the way off to our northwest. So we still have several hours of tracking this severe weather threat here. I'm going to see what the model data looks like now. Since we're just streaming and you all are along for the ride here, this is our in-house model.
It's not terrible, not great.
You can see it has that main line just like, but it speeds it up so quickly.
It speeds it up and broadens it out, and I wonder if that's going to be accurate. And I will say that last night during the night team at 11, the model we use, our in-house, updated to show the stuff that, you know, we've been dealing with all through the evening so far. It started to show that. The thing is, and the reason why I said I didn't buy it at the time was that was the first time that it popped up in all of the lead time that we've had with forecasting that. And I said I didn't buy it and that it probably wouldn't happen. I apologize for that because, well, here it is. But that's the only time it popped up, that first time it did, which is why I didn't necessarily believe it. It turns out that it ended up being more correct than I was in that particular instance, but this line is pretty much on track with what we were expecting over the last couple of days, with it possibly speeding up, but most likely coming in right on time with what we were expecting.
Yeah, so probably into our northwest counties, what, 11?
Between 11:15 and 11 and 12 and 11:30.
If it gets here before 11, that will kind of determine if we have a normal newscast or not, essentially.
Right.
But we're going to be in a lot of severe thunderstorm warning.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
Trust me.
All along this line.
There's going to be big boxes, parallelograms issued all up and down this line. So, and you see that they issue tornado warnings interspersed along this. I think the tornado threat is our western two tiers of counties, basically along and west of Louisville on Interstate 65, Du Bois, Orange, Crawford, Perry, Meade, Breckenridge, Hancock, Washington. That's the threat. There's a little bit more fuel to work with in that area. And the winds are coming all the way to Louisville. The winds are coming, okay? We're going to have winds between the low end, 40, high end, 65. And it's coming before you know it. Right, Mallory?
That's right. Yep. That leading edge there. And once again, many of us included in the severe thunderstorm watch until 4 a.m. to account for those winds. The idea is the farther east that this line eventually goes, south and east, is that'll weaken, because at that point it'll be probably 3 o'clock in the morning or so. But even in areas like Litchfield, definitely be prepared for some strong winds there. Current warnings are all flooding, flash flood warnings that we have for the Louisville Metro, Paoli over to Madison, Bedford, and areas off to the west. And then you can tell, you can kind of fill in yourself where this line is from Indianapolis down to northern Arkansas. So that is what we are waiting to move on in our direction here for the rest of the night.
And in from Trimark, there has been a crash that has been reported on the Watterson at Newburgh Road. I actually have that Trimark camera pulled up right now. It looks to be there looks to only be one vehicle involved, at least from what I can see. The camera is kind of, stuttering and buffering here and there, but you can see the officer responding and the hazard lights to the left of the red and blue lights of the police cruiser there. So that is an accident that's been reported on Trimark. The Trimark report said all lanes were blocked, but it looks like things are moving. But that off-ramp is going to be a hazard with that car stopped there. Hopefully everyone ends up okay there. Of course, the roads are wet and you can hydroplane very, very fast. If you're going too fast or if your tires aren't all that good, it's why good vehicle maintenance, replacing those tires as needed, is very important. We have a car in a creek in French Lick, according to the National Weather Service. So that's another thing. You could hydroplane off the roadway and into a body of water, but that's being read as a creek and not a river. So hopefully everyone is okay in that particular situation. Woodford County, Kentucky, Emergency Management reporting 2.14 inches per hour of rainfall at their courthouse weather station. So the rain is not stopping right now. And we do have a minor break that will be in between what we have going on right now and the line that will be moving through. I'm going to really quickly just pause this, and you can see there is that break just to the north of Evansville. And just like last time, like John said earlier, when these storms hit Evansville, we're going to get a good idea of what they're going to be like when they get closer to Kentuckiana. We've got good data that we can get out of Evansville before it moves in to Kentuckiana. I know you're looking at some storm damage reports and whatnot.
Right. Yeah, so I'm just looking through. This is Jackson County, Indiana. Some barn damage. This must have been from earlier today when we just had, well, I don't want to say we just had, but when we had severe thunderstorm warnings in place. So I'll work to get more information on that, but I'm kind of multitasking here, looking at storm reports and also the latest for you guys here coming into the chat. But we can take another look at the radar. Once again, right now, showers, storms, sub-severe. Flash flood warnings remain in place for the next few hours here, and then we're watching for the main line that's going to bring our next dose of severe storms with a wind and tornado threat with that main line that will be cutting through probably sometime between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. or so from northwest to southeast. So still have a ways to go, still a lot of power on this storm system. You're seeing, this is probably what we are going to see here. I'm going to actually take the radar off. A lot of times when you get these just big lines, you end up with these giant chunks of severe thunderstorm warnings. So I imagine once this makes its way into our viewing area, we will probably see those big chunks, especially if the line is tending to move a little bit quicker. You can see those giant severe thunderstorm warnings in play. I'm going to see off to our north just how quickly some of these are moving. They're moving east at 55 miles per hour, so pretty quick moving storms there. And then in their wake, you're also seeing additional flash flood warnings off to the northwest. So we're basically in the waiting game right now until that line rolls through.
And them moving through will work for and against us in a couple of ways. Them moving through that quickly, I should say. If they move through quickly, it can be over quickly. But the thing is, it moves through quickly because there's a lot of force making it move through quickly. And that's still going to have a lot of pretty dangerous wind in the storm as it moves through. 48 mile per hour wind gust at Mercer County Mesonet Station being reported by the National Weather Service as well. We're waiting now. We're waiting for the long line of storms to move into Kentuckiana. Nothing that is on radar right now for us is severe outside of the flash flood warnings. And, oftentimes flash flood warnings aren't associated with severe weather. They are today, of course, but we don't always see that when we're dealing with severe weather. So we don't have any warnings outside of the flood warnings at this time. Again, They are keeping an eye on the line approaching from the west. The emergency management in Du Bois County estimating an 11:40 p.m. arrival. So that's going to be, and it is getting closer. It's getting closer. Moving at roughly 55 miles per hour, so just shy of a mile a minute. So once it moves in, it's going to move through quick. It's going to be very loud, and like we were saying, like Mallory was saying, you're going to be under a severe thunderstorm warning. We can pretty much guarantee that. Outside of that, tornado warnings, it's had a history of producing tornado warnings. It's had a history of producing tornadoes. Hopefully we don't see that here, but if that does happen, we'll let you know, and we will tell you exactly where you should go in that moment. Tornado safety, your tornado safe space. An interior room away from exterior walls and windows. You want as many walls between you and the outside as possible. A hallway, a closet, under a staircase is a good spot. A bathroom, preferably an interior bathroom. But if you have it, the best place is the basement. Get under the staircase in the basement if you can, because the staircase is usually very, very strong. So that is the best place if you have it. If you don't have that, get in an interior hallway, closet, bathroom, what have you. You want as much space in between you and the outside world as you can. Get your pet crates, carriers, leashes ready now, and take your pets with you to those safe spaces. And you want the crates and the carriers and the leashes, you want your pets to be contained, because they are animals and they often scatter when bad things happen. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but you just want to be prepared for that. Really quickly, severe weather at night tips. Where you want to stay up to date with the forecast. That's what you're doing right now by watching this, and thank you for joining us. Have a way to wake up for a warning. That's what John Gordon just said a few minutes ago. You want your method of receiving a weather alert to be able to wake you up from a dead sleep. Charge your phones now. Do it now. Put them on charge. If you have a weather radio, make sure it's close by. Make sure it's got batteries, though the weather radios I've experienced with, it'll wake you up from across the house. Usually they are very, very loud. And again, your designated safe space that we just went over. Mallory, I see you're timing out the line of storms.
Yeah.
And it looks like you've got that relatively finalized. You want to take over?
I'm attempting here because different segments of this line are moving at different speeds.
It also doesn't help that this line, this timing out line gimmick is kind of, once you make it really, really long, it's a little iffy.
Do the segment that's just west of Vincennes.
Okay.
You know, the ones, I don't know if you see these towns, Olney, Flora.
Just what? Okay, yeah.
Just west of Vincennes, 2 counties.
How fast do we think these are going?
I think 50 to 55.
Okay. Let's do that.
And that will give you the answer to the test, everyone, when it's going to come to your neighborhood.
Yeah, so if we, oh, nope, that's the wrong. Sorry, guys.
Well, she's getting that going. I'll just give you a quick thing. So for us, still some residual rain that's developing in the warm air. Jasper, basically Jasper to Fort Knox and points off to the northeast. And then the main line, Mallory's about to track for you.
So this is if this line continues to move 50 miles per hour. It has it in Louisville just after 1 a.m. So that's pretty late. Jasper just after 11:30. And Newcastle closer to 2 a.m. So that's if it's moving, you know, east-southeast at 50 miles per hour.
Can I show them something real quick on my computer?
Go for it. Yes,
real
please
quick.
do.
If you go to my computer, I'll show you what a tornado looks like on radar. Okay. This is in the middle of nowhere, probably. It's 2 counties west from the Wabash. This is in Illinois. See that little hook, see that little notch right there? That's a tornado that's forming on the leading edge. That's near the metropolis of Mount Erie in Illinois. And that is why they just issued a new tornado warning. That stuff is where the tornadoes form. Look how it's got almost a little hook on the leading edge.
Yep.
Right where you see the M in Mount Erie.
Right on Mount Erie.
But I just want to show that, Mallory. That's what the Weather Service in Louisville is going to be dealing with. in our western communities, basically Du Bois County, Martin, Jennings, Jackson. Just wanted to jump in.
Right. No, that's great. That's great. It's a good teaching moment from John Gordon there because that's what we're looking at when we have these long lines of storms. When we talk about notches, nubs, where we're watching those areas of rotation there, they're going to be keeping a fine-tooth comb along that leading edge of storms to see where you're seeing some of those little notches up there. So,
and there's another one, 2 counties down. If you know anyone south of Wayne City, Illinois, Belle Prairie City, I'll circle it. There's another one right there. There she blows. Yep, that's another one that they may issue a tornado warning on. They happen very quickly, folks. It's very easy when you sit at home in your basement and eating Cheetos, but I'm telling you, it's very difficult when you're in the radar seat, and you've got to make very quick decisions. The severe thunderstorm warnings are really easy. They're easy.
yeah.
They're easy. You're going to get 60-mile-an-hour winds. You see these, look at the size of the new one that just came out. That's a big old warning.
Yeah, I was talking about how there will likely be some big old warnings.
Yeah, parallelograms.
Yep.
Yep.
Whenever we get a line like this, you know, we might as well make a big shape.
It's the best way to handle it, but the tornadoes, like I just said, there's 2 little notches that just popped up very quickly. But you're going to track into the city again. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you are quite all right. All right, so let's talk about where those are. And if we put it at 55, let's see what difference that makes. So I'm kind of, I keep choosing the wrong one. Sorry, guys. I keep choosing the cone.
And they just issued a new tour in Illinois. North of that first one, there's another little notch in there. I'm really concerned about Lawrence, Jennings, Jackson, Du Bois. Please, if you're going to go to bed, have 2 ways to receive warnings.
Yes.
Wow, okay.
We just heard that Shelby County has 2,300 power outages right now. I'm actually going to zoom out so I can, people without power, right now in Shelby County. So continuing to see those numbers increase across the area. And this is out ahead of this main line that we keep talking about. So I'm trying to draw the squall line on here at 55 miles per hour.
Or go 50 or 55.
Yeah, this still has it in Louisville after 1 a.m. So
yeah, I think Jasper's like what do you got, 11? What do you got in Jasper?
It says 11. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm in front of the. It says 11:53 for Jasper.
Yeah, I think that's not bad. 11:45, something like that.
Yeah, 11:30 for Bedford. You know, this is if it's moving east and then it starts to push southeast.
Yep.
So Louisville likely around 1 a.m. or so.
And we just got that. Information about Shelby County. With 2,300 customers without power, and this is why. That's that edge. That's that leading edge that I was talking about. That's moved through Lawrenceburg not too long ago. It's likely now in Versailles.
They had 3 lines that just looked like that.
Yeah, they've had multiple waves of. Very, very strong thunderstorms that aren't quite severe, but at that point, we're splitting hairs on what is severe and what isn't. But this caused a lot of power outages, even if it wasn't severe. This line now moving into Lexington proper, but that's in Shelby County, so a ton of power outages there. That's on top of the fact that we have many thousands of power outages across southern Indiana, and we were discussing earlier in Oldham County, lots of power outages there. And it's actually hailing in Lexington, according to some information on the National Weather Service chat. So now we're just waiting for this main line to move in. It's going to be really loud and annoying when it moves in, and you are going to be put under a severe thunderstorm warning. That is an expectation at this point. So that's the main line. We're going to continue to monitor where those tornado warnings are as well. We can pull that up. Here is a couple of them. This is just to the west of Bond Pass, and I believe this is this Illinois? Or
yeah, I was in Illinois really quick.
This is in Illinois.
Yeah, I'm back with you. I just look, there's structural damage in several little communities in Illinois. I just want to look, see if they're actually getting reports, and they are.
And I've got our debris detector pulled up. I'm not 100% sure. Does this debris detector follow closest radar, or is it just for us?
I would have to look into it. It might
so
be
this-
our radar.
They picking
okay,
something up in Illinois?
That may not be, that's not going to be helpful to us then. So we'll just go back to our regular radar, and this picks up on whatever closest radar is there.
Yeah.
So there's that notch. It's very, very distinct
Yeah,
when you zoom in on it. That's the thing, and that's the difficulty of finding these.
I'm using the
in this,
Evansville radar on that right now, but eventually we'll get ours. But they're going to continue to issue severes with isolated tornadoes, especially on the northern side of this, basically 64 northbound. The southbound appears to be more linear right now, which is going to be straight line winds. But the lightning, every time I look over at Mallory's
Yeah, I know.
maps, there is lightning off the kazoo.
Lightning galore. Yeah, that hasn't lessened at all.
No, not at all. I mean, you're going to see a lightning show,
Yeah.
folks. It's coming.
And that's from that wind energy. Lightning is, when you boil it down to static electricity, just, at the biggest scale
Very
you can imagine.
complicated night for UPS with their arrivals coming in right now. And now this line coming in. If you're listening to us at UPS, I feel sorry for you tonight.
Yeah, that's going to be tricky for sure. And obviously, we're still dealing with the flash flood warnings in effect for the Louisville metro area, up near Paoli, Salem, over to Madison, Bedford as well. And we've gotten reports, obviously, into our newsroom and into the National Weather Service chat about water in the roadways, some water rescues as well. Here in Louisville, that trouble spot, Breckenridge Lane, 6 Mile Lane, some cars submerged there. So please be safe if you're out tonight. And if you don't need to be out tonight, obviously stay home. We do have photos into our newsroom, apparently, of a house fire in Oldham County due to, oh my goodness, due to a house that got struck by lightning here. Do we know any more information about this besides it being an, okay. That's all we know so far. So, of course, we'll bring you more updates as we get them. But once again, house fires sparked by a lightning strike in Oldham County tonight. So, hate to see that.
There's another report in Utica, but I could never confirm that.
I think it got confirmed by our newsroom. I don't know if we were able to get anyone there, though. But those... Yeah, and we're going to have more information on the Oldham County fire coming up on the night team at 11 o'clock. We will be monitoring. We'll let you know when that information comes. But right now, we're just tracking the rain. We're waiting for the main line to move in. That's what we're kind of in a waiting period now. There's still stuff happening, but we're kind of in a waiting period at this time. There is a severe thunderstorm warning that's knocking on the door of Kentuckiana, just to the north. Actually, what county is Jasper in? That's Du Bois County. So just a sliver of Du Bois County is under the severe thunderstorm warning, and that leads to this. The main line that's moving through pretty much on time. Unfortunately, on time means 1 a.m. For when it moves into the Louisville area.
Yeah, so Jasper, if you're in the northwest part of Du Bois County, it's going to be there a little after 11. Jasper between 11:30 and 11:50, Huntingburg, Holland, all heading to your way. That's just the beginning. There's a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings coming. All the counties west of Louisville will probably be under severe thunderstorm warnings between 11 and, what do you think, 1:30-ish? Ish. And then once it passes through, it's over. And there will be great rejoicing.
Definitely. Yes.
And hopefully it moves through fast. Hopefully we can see this line move through quickly and we see that severe threat end quickly, and once it moves through, we'll see counties get lobbed off the watch.
Take a look at that stuff that's down between Bowling Green and Madisonville to the southwest. That continues to be weak at below severe criteria, way down to our southwest, way down there. Do you see it? Way down. There it is.
Yeah. There's a lot of radar noise.
That has been, there's a layer of warm air that's protecting that. That could be really bad if it had been sunny towards dusk, but it didn't. And Austin had mentioned there were some of the computer models were showing some development ahead of line. You're seeing just a little bit of it east of Carbondale as it approaches the Wabash, west of Evansville. All that's moving off to the northeast. These are just what I call spritzoids, just quick little rain showers. They come in, they come out, they're gone, and they say goodbye. But the main line is coming. And you still see 2 tornado warnings out of Illinois. And there's 2 areas that I would keep the tornado warning going. Yeah. I don't know that part of Illinois, so forgive me. West Salem, Mount Erie, Parkersburg, Calhoun. And before you know it, you're going to get in a more populated area along the Wabash and Vincennes. And we'll be getting wind reports from the airport there that will help make a determination. But it's definitely got some wind push on the leading edge, just as we've been forecasting for days, Mallory.
Yeah, a lot of wind. A lot of wind and then those embedded tornadoes. So keeping a close eye on this entire line. I mean, you can see the warnings stretching all the way north of Indianapolis, south through the Wabash, and continuing southward into Missouri. And that's where you're seeing actually even Pocahontas, northern Arkansas as well.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, they have a tornado warning down there. So.
Those are kind of detached from the main line.
Those are renegades.
I wonder if they're going to stay that way. And with how storms haven't been able to, it's speculation, John. But if we had a real brilliantly sunny day ahead of this,
it would have been bad.
Those storms to the west of Bowling Green would probably be tornado warned right now.
These cloud cover really saved our bacon. I mean, really.
So it'll be interesting to see what those storms, those renegades, do when they enter western Kentucky. If the storms that are currently in there not able to get up to any sort of severe criteria, I wonder if they will weaken as they move in.
If you know anyone, I'm being very serious. If you know anyone down between West Plains, Poplar Bluff, Sykeston, Jonesboro, those are killer tornadoes possibly in there. Those ones right in there, they're all by themselves. They've had all day to work. There's a lot of wind shear. There's instability. Anyone between Poplar Bluff, Jonesboro, Sykeston, please pay attention and be prepared to go to shelter. What's our tracking? I see they issued another severe. Biggin. They've gone to Vincennes now.
Biggin. Let's see. Oh, yep, that is a big one.
Yep.
So
it's going to be out of Illinois before you know it.
Moving east at 70 miles per hour, guys, is what they're saying for that northern.
It's interesting. The northern part is really accelerating.
It's trucking along, yeah.
Yeah. So Bedford, you got some strong winds coming to you. Bedford, Jasper, Mitchell, Orleans, French Lick, Paoli. It's coming.
And we can add, I think it's pronounced Lagouti.
What counties?
And French Lick, Paoli, Patoka Lake, Jasper.
It's coming.
All of it. We're just waiting for this main line to move in now.
Yeah, but we got some good timing.
Yeah. The timing of the main line has been pretty well on track with what we were expecting. It's just all the stuff ahead of it that's been a little bit that's been outside of the forecasting expectations because we're not anticipating flooding is always a potential when we're dealing with severe threats, but we weren't anticipating the train of storms that were going to form over southern Indiana to cause that flooding threat, especially to the extent that it did.
Yeah, today's forecast was really hot. The line was easy. What's coming in right, you see to the west. The stuff ahead of it was very complicated. And the cloud cover really didn't clear out till 5, almost 6 o'clock in Louisville.
Made more complicated by the cloud cover, but on the other end maybe helped us out.
It may have saved us.
Quite a bit.
What time you got that in Louisville, Mallory?
It was after 1 a.m., but it depends on if we're going with the 70 miles per hour or if we're going with the 50 miles per hour. So as we were talking about, this northern edge of it is, at least with the warnings, typically within the warnings they say how fast that storm segment is moving. This, they have 70 miles per hour. The stuff down here is a little bit slower. So, you know, it's hard to put one full track on it. But if I met in the middle, you know, what do we say? 55?
It's like a 65,
Yeah, I'm so old. You're youngsters here. I'm so old. In the old days, we called this a line echo wave pattern, LEWP.
Yeah.
And if you notice, look how it looks, the line. It kind of goes and zigs. It's like the Loch Ness Monster. It kind of zigs and zags.
Yeah. So, I mean, with this timing, if it's sped up a little bit in Louisville, it could be right before 1 a.m. But, I mean, that's kind of the sweet spot that I've been seeing around 1 o'clock for Louisville. So, obviously, earlier, the farther northwest that you do live from the city here, so areas like Seymour and our northwestern counties in general, Bedford, you're going to be seeing storms a lot earlier than the rest of us with this main line.
And once it moves through, once it passes you, the severe threat should be over with. We'll see it move in the northern zones first and eventually fill out as it moves easterly. It's going to be also interesting to see what the speed will be once it moves into our air mass. We got Mallory's got Futurecast pulled up. Back there.
I'm not trusting anything, right, for today. This is our in-house model, which has been the speedier compared to the HRRR.
I'd like for this one to happen.
It would be nice because that would be in Louisville around 12:30 and then off to the southeast. But it feels like it's going to take a little bit longer than that.
It feels like they're kind of meeting in the reality is kind of meeting in the middle where it's not as fast as graph, but it's not as slow as
one of my friends at the Weather Service just messaged me. Tremendous outflow surge on the northwest side of the line, northwest of Evansville, and it's moving close to 70. So they're seeing the same thing. And you'll be seeing a giant severe thunderstorm warning very soon in Princeton and Armstrong and north of Evansville. It's coming. Trust me. There's a big old warning coming.
And just like last time with the severe threat we had the last time, we will get a whole lot more storm reports tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
When the sun comes up and
probably a lot of tree damage.
Yeah, there'll be people are going to notice a lot of tree damage when they're getting out and about tomorrow. Probably going to be a lot of debris on the roadways. So,
but the power outages don't lie. You'll be seeing the power outages going up here in the next couple of hours.
Yeah, especially when that main line begins moving through it. In fact, if you are a video game player and have expensive gaming equipment, unplug it now. Just in case. You should have it on a UPS or at least a surge protector.
Protector's a great thing.
But I'd go ahead and just unplug those and get that. Make sure that stuff is protected because gaming PCs aren't cheap, especially with the ridiculous price of RAM these days. So just a tip there for you if you are into electronics, because lightning can fry them very quick. Another big old severe thunderstorm warning was issued on this line.
What a
I believe
surprise.
it's for the Indianapolis metro area.
That's
I believe.
shocking.
So, this thing is warned from Indianapolis, from north of Indianapolis. We'll say Kokomo, Indiana, all the way down through Carbondale and into Poplar Bluff in Missouri, and then eventually near Cherokee Village in Arkansas. So this is a very long line of severe thunderstorms, and all of it's going to pack a decent punch as it moves in.
All right, let's do a little radar update on my screen here. Okay, so what's going on? We have regular rain showers right now. And thunder showers basically from Jasper to Fort Knox down to Mercer County. That's all moving off to the northeast. There's got flash flood warnings out. But if you go to my screen, whoever's the maestro that can do that.
The ROI computer, if you can.
If you can, please. Thank you, maestro. So basically the line is going up to, towards Indianapolis down to Mount Vernon. And I've driven a big little X there. So that area right there, all from Evansville to Princeton to El Dorado to the northwest part of Du Bois. That's Orleans. It's coming in the next hour. It's moving between 50 at the low end of the south end of the line to 70 to 72 miles an hour on the north end of the line. Du Bois County. It will be there in an hour in Jasper. Jasper, it's coming towards you. Ferdinand, one of my favorite German restaurants in Jasper. It's coming your way. And it will be in Santa Claus before midnight, right about midnight in Santa Claus. Another great place to go. And this will be in Louisville. Mallory's got it about 1 a.m. in the Louisville Metro. That's the Knobs and PRP, Shively, J-Town, Okolona, Fern Creek. It will be there at 1 a.m. Bardstown, about 1:15 to 1:20. Elizabethtown, same time there. Believe it or not, Madison, it's going to be gone by 1:30. It'll be gone over in the northern part of the counties. It's moving that fast. Severe thunderstorm warnings are coming to a neighborhood near you. And very heavy rain yet again.
Yeah, and that'll exacerbate our flash flooding situation that we're going to have. The flash flood warning for the Louisville Metro probably going to go through the overnight hours, or at least deep into the overnight hours. So that's going to add to the amount of water that we've received. It's going to be, I'm looking forward to seeing the total rainfall that we get out of this. Radar indicated is the way that, the really good way we'll be able to look at that on the map. But we're just waiting for the main line to move in. At this point, it looks like, unless something changes
they put a new
drastically.
New tornado warning on the Illinois storm. Sorry, Austin. I just want to say the new tornado warning, a little bit of a notch on the leading edge of that storm, Mallory, up against the Wabash just west. It goes up to the, imagine that, it goes right to the Indiana state line. And then Indianapolis takes over. Indianapolis will have to decide what to do with that diabolics feature as it moves off to the east. It's got very heavy wind and rain in there. Looks like 60 miles an hour of wind. A lot of lightning in there, and a little bit of indication of rotation on the leading edge.
And that's you said, is that the one that you're talking about?
Right up to Vincennes.
Okay. Yeah.
The new one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I've got that pulled up on and so Mallory's got it pulled up better on a Max HD radar. That's where that's where, again, that kink in the line is.
You really see some strong wind. We look at the velocity, green, those inbounds are so strong coming in and pushing this thing. It's called a cold pool. Very cold, and it's a pool. And it's moving to the east, and there's a lot of wind in it, 60 to 70 mile an hour winds. Vincennes, you will be under a warning soon, too. It's like a show. You'll be under a warning.
You'll be under a warning. Well be under a warning.
You'll be under a warning. But it is coming, and I expect the warnings to go probably 1 or 2 tiers south and east of Louisville, and they may go special weather statements after that.
After that, yeah.
That's my guess.
The line should gradually lose some steam as it pushes off to the southeast tonight. So that's been the general idea with that.
Yep.
And now we're just waiting for it.
Yeah, and then you got Renegades over, if you look in Missouri. If you do a track, I'll look at those cells by Poplar Bluff.
Okay. And that's a good Styx song.
Oh, yeah, we got music tonight here, folks. We got a playlist.
All right, give me just a moment, guys, because after we're done with this stream, we're going right into our 11 p.m. newscast. So I'm trying to get a few of my graphics ready for that, for the TV side. But
yeah, she's working on getting the future cast.
You've got the best chief meteorologist you can get right here.
No, stop.
But you were talking about these storms near Poplar Bluff, and I don't have all the tools that you.
I'm looking right now. I'm looking. I'll take it off you, Mallory. Let me just jump. I just want to find a Missouri radar. Come on.
These are those kind of lone storms that are outside of the line that are being pushed by the same thing that the line is being pushed by. But these are individual storms. I hope that nothing is confirmed on the ground with these storms. It is radar indicated, which you still got to take radar indications of tornadoes seriously too. Both of them are radar indicated, so that's a good sign. Still take them seriously, and there's the potential that there might not be anyone there to observe it. But
the one, if you know anyone in Poplar Bluff, They need to seek shelter right now.
Yeah, and if you happen to be watching us from there, please do so because you are under a tornado warning. But this is this is a kind of a separated area from that line. It'll be moving into western Tennessee and western Kentucky over the next couple of hours. Once we shift into western Kentucky, we do have these storms here that if we had a whole bunch of sunshine and stuff, these would probably be very, very strong and nasty. Thankfully, they are maintaining kind of garden variety thunderstorm level, nothing major coming out of that. After we move up into Kentuckiana proper, there's nothing really going on. It's south of Bardstown and west of E-Town. We get into the northeastern zones and northern zones of Kentuckiana. That's where we have pockmarked scattered showers and thunderstorms, most of them being thunderstorms. That's moving through, continuing to add to the flash flooding threats in a few of those locations. And then what we are just waiting on at this point now, the line of strong storms.
Let me just give a big overview. Mallory's getting ready for the 11. So here we go. If you go to my screen, the ROI computer. So let's take a look from the north to the south. From Indianapolis to Terre Haute, this shows the whole picture. There's Vincennes, the tornado warning up on the Wabash. Just went through Mount Vernon. Winds were between 50 and 60 in Mount Vernon. Past Carbondale, SIU Carbondale, down to Cape Girardeau. And these are the ones that really get my attention, ones that are never good, these rogue supercells down by Poplar Bluff. Poplar Bluff definitely needs to seek shelter right now. All right, so let's look for us. Jasper, 11:45. That's a little less than an hour. Louisville, 1 a.m.-ish. That means Charlestown, Floyd's Knobs, Sellersburg, down to E-Town, about 1:20 to 1:30. This is going to go through a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings are coming to a theater near you very soon.
Yeah, and we are going to continue to monitor this through the 11 o'clock newscast. We're getting ready for WHS 11, the night team at 11. It'll be on television, Channel 11. We're getting ready for that. And about 3 minutes from now, we're going to end this live stream and get ready for the newscast on Channel 11. But this has been an eventful evening so far. We were expecting mostly this main line being the main threat, but we've had a lot of rain across the northern half of Kentuckiana, where we've had flash flooding concerns and flash flood warnings, including a few water rescues, cars stuck in high water, especially where they typically do, like we said earlier, the typical areas that flooded, that usually flood, have done so. That has happened here in Louisville. That has happened in southern Indiana as well. So we're going to continue to watch this as it moves through. We'll have updates on the house fire in Oldham County, sparked by lightning. We'll have updates on that. We will have updates on power outages as well. That is coming up in just a few minutes on WHS 11, the night team, in just about 90 seconds from now. Mallory?
Hey there, yes, thanks. Sorry, I'm getting ready for that 11 o'clock newscast, just getting my graphics in order. But as we've been talking about all evening, we're dealing with the flash flooding threat here in the Louisville metro area due to the rounds of heavy rainfall that we had this evening that dumped a few inches of rain over a short period of time. And now we're just waiting for that main line that's still off to our northwest, but is approaching our northwestern viewing area here. So we have some scattered activity still in Louisville, not as widespread as it was. You can see this main line here, all of this lightning, huge severe thunderstorm warnings that are just being pushed out to account for the strong wind threat, and then watching for each of those little nubs where there might be a bit of rotation there. So this will gradually push from northwest to southeast through the overnight hours tonight. Once this line has cleared your area, we are looking at quieter conditions for the rest of the night, but it's estimated that this might not move through the Louisville metro area until about 1 a.m. So right after we wrap up this stream, we're we're going right into the 11 p.m. newscast on WHAS 11. Of course, we'll talk much more about the radar. We'll take a look at our hour-by-hour forecast. We'll talk about the storm reports that have already been submitted so far this evening, and we will take you through the rest of your Derby week as well, looking a bit quieter after this, thankfully. But now we're going to turn things over to our 11 p.m. newscast on WHAS 11.
I figured you didn't.
Do you have me?
Right now here on the WHAS 11 team on this stormy night, incredible video into us. Take a look at that lightning bolt going off right on your screen, lightning across Kentuckiana. This huge strike captured by this doorbell camera in Jeffersonville about an hour or so ago. The recording sent to us a little while ago by Michelle Stidham. At one point, thousands of lightning strikes every 10 minutes tonight. And now also take a look here, huge trees down like this one on Ash Street in Germantown. The yellow tape is already up around it. This photo taken by Elizabeth Robinson. I thank you so much, Elizabeth. And at least 4 drivers got stuck after driving into viaducts in Louisville tonight. They all got out okay, but one was rescued. Hello, everybody. As we bring you our weather impact coverage on the night team, I'm Doug Proffitt. Our weather team has been with you all night long, and Chief Meteorologist Mallory Schnell and extreme weather specialist John Gordon pick it up with what we need to worry about overnight. Mallory and John, of course, this is not the time we want more severe weather coming in as everybody's getting ready to go to bed.
Right. We never like to see that nighttime threat here. And we've had 2 waves here. So we've had a lot of shower and storm activity this evening with a flooding threat. But what do we have next?
Yeah, we had Act 1. We had all kinds of flooding, but now we have a line of storms, which Mallory's going to track out. It'll be in Du Bois County here within 45 minutes, and we're going to get a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings between about 11:30 and about 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah, so we still have a few more hours that we're tracking for you. Right now, we do have an active flash flood warning for the Louisville metro area until 12:30. Obviously, we were talking about the water rescues that have been sent into our newsroom, reports of flooded roadways as well. In addition to that, another flash flood warning off to the north from Paoli over to Madison. Big picture view, where you're seeing the oranges and reds, that is the main line that has yet to roll through Kentuckiana. So with that, that's where we're expecting the wind threat and potentially some embedded tornado warnings, where we're seeing any kind of notches and nubs where there's some rotation within that leading line. So we still have this severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 4 a.m. Expect that to be chipped away from northwest to southeast as this line rolls in here. And we are expecting that to move into our northwestern counties here soon. I'd say Louisville metro around 1 a.m. or so, and then off to the southeast by 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, gradually decreasing increasing in intensity as it does so. Of course, we will talk much more about the radar and take a look at your Derby week forecast coming up here in a few minutes, Doug.
All right, Mallory, torrential rains tonight. Tornado warnings were issued for Oldham County, and reports came in about a tree down on a house in Crestwood and then a house fire right along the Ohio River during the peak of the thunderstorm. WHS 11 team's Alex Dieter and photojournalist Levi Hammer are live on Harbor View Court. That's right along the Ohio River in Oldham County. And Alex, you just interviewed the chief within the past hour. Did he confirm the lightning strike?
So, Doug, here on Harborview Court, he did confirm that they believe that the house fire here in Oldham County and Prospect along the Ohio River was started by a lightning strike. So around 7 o'clock, a call came in for a house fire. The homeowner said that he did see a lightning strike hit his house and flames just went up around his. And other fire crews got here on scene around 7:15 this evening, and the fire chief did say that he saw the house just lit up in flames. And he said by the time they got here, the roof had collapsed onto the second floor, and that second floor then collapsed onto the first floor. Now, thankfully, all the homeowners and family members of the house did get out of the house safely. No firefighters were injured in putting out this fire. And you can see behind me, or you just saw behind me, the last couple of fire trucks now leaving the neighborhood right now. But the fire chief, Chief Sohan, did tell me that a crew will stay overnight just in case another. It's not the only damage that they.
Okay, Alex, so we lost Alex's audio coverage. Cell service, of course, tough in the storm out there in Oldham County. We'll get back to her report a little later in this newscast. We do want to give you the latest power outage numbers. They have been steadily rising since 9 o'clock tonight. In Jefferson County, LG&E reporting right now 4,673 customers out. I looked at the map. It is across every part of our community in Jefferson County, not just one area. Oldham with 739 outages right now. Duke Energy for Southern Indiana reporting large outages across Southern Indiana. Clark at 863. Floyd with 998 customers out. Harrison standing at 657. Each reporting, as you can see, well over 500 customer outages in Southern Indiana. We'll have more weather coverage for you coming right up, but also new tonight, the Derby Festival closed early due to severe weather, but also due to fights breaking out over the weekend. And for the rest of the week, they're going to be closing the venue an hour earlier at 10 o'clock each night. For the second year, KDF is enforcing an age and attendance policy. Last year, adults 21 years and older could accompany up to 6 kids to the festival. This year, that number was reduced to 3. A youth advocate emphasized the importance of creating safe spaces for teenagers to express themselves. KDS told us groups were using pepper spray over the weekend.
They were gathering in groups, just kind of creating chaos throughout the venue, using pepper spray on each other, which then would impact the other families and fans that are down here.
That there are a lot of times when kids have nothing to do, and that kind of leads to violence. Just the boredom and not having an outlet to express themselves and learn about their passions kind of creates spaces where kids don't feel like there are places for them to be.
Hatchet's youth violence prevention nonprofit group Hip Hop into Learning is hosting a showcase this Wednesday to give kids something to do during Derby week. Also happening today, she's now out of prison. The ex-wife of convicted former Clark County, Indiana Sheriff Jamie Knoll. Misty Jackson, formerly known as Misty Knoll, served roughly 10 months of her 18-month sentence before leaving the Madison Correctional Facility in Madison, Indiana this morning. She pleaded guilty last May to 5 counts of theft and 5 counts of tax evasion. Her attorney, Bart McMahon, confirmed her release to WHAS 11 today, one day before her scheduled release date. That's because releases are only processed on Mondays and Thursdays. New today, we've obtained air traffic control audio after a Delta Airlines flight made an emergency landing at Louisville's airport yesterday morning. Airport officials say Flight 2801 had just taken off from Louisville to Atlanta when it turned back Sunday morning. Delta Airlines told WHAS 11 that a tire blew out during takeoff and there was separate engine vibration. Here's a recording of the audio.
2801, declaring an emergency for our left engine compressor stall. We need to return to the field.
2801, we just got a call. You may have blown a tire on the runway.
Landed safely at 10:45 a.m. yesterday and was towed to the terminal. The runway closed for nearly 2 hours for inspection. 100 people on board. Nobody was hurt. New tonight, First Lady Melania Trump and the president are now both calling for ABC to fire Jimmy Kimmel, which airs on WHAS 11 at 11:35. Last week, Thursday night, he made a remark about the First Lady as having, quote, the glow of an expectant widow. In a post today, Melania said people like Kimmel should not be allowed to, quote, spread hate. The joke was made before a gunman was charged with attempted assassination of the president over the weekend. The president and press secretary Caroline Leavitt later echoed her remarks on social media today. ABC has not yet made any comment. In New York today on this Derby week, the leaders of Churchill Downs Incorporated for the opening bell of the NASDAQ market site. That's Churchill Downs Incorporated CEO Bill Carstanjen opening the NASDAQ market today. Churchill Downs stock trades on NASDAQ and sells for about $100 a share. He took the moment to praise the Derby tradition.
Whether you're joining us at Churchill Downs on the first Saturday in May, celebrating at a Derby party, or watching from home, we invite you to celebrate 152 years of extraordinary tradition with us.
Churchill has been doing this with NASDAQ for many years during Derby week. As we go to the break, here it is once again, that huge lightning strike in Jeffersonville captured by this doorbell camera tonight. Don't go to bed just yet. More storm coverage from our chief meteorologist Mallory Schnell and extreme weather specialist John Gordon.
And here's today's Kentucky Lottery jackpots. Mega Millions, $163 million. Powerball, $130 million.
The Kentucky Lottery, funding education for over 1 million Kentucky students. The WHAS 11 Weather Impact Forecast is sponsored by Tom Sondergeld Plumbing and West Shore Home.
Once again, we want to check in with our weather impact team, Chief Meteorologist Mallory Schnell and Extreme Weather Specialist John Gordon. You both are going to take us through the evening hours. We've got sort of a break. At one point, I looked out downtown a little minute ago before we went on the air, and it was barely raining. But you said there's a lot more and a lot more lightning behind this.
Yeah, there's a lot more to go, right, John?
Why have things changed, haven't they, since then?
Yeah, so we've been watching that first wave of showers and storms that caused some wind damage. Of course, we got reports of trees down, power outages, and flash flooding. That's what that became, a major flooding threat for us. And now we're watching the main line.
Act 2's coming. We have a large line of storms. Mallory will be tracking that out. It's near Evansville. It'll be in Du Bois County here within 45 minutes. In Louisville, about 1:30 with 40 to 60 mile an hour winds.
Yeah, so we have a big wind threat along that main line, a lot of lightning as well. I mean, the lightning really hasn't died down at all as this continues to surge off to the southeast. So that's going to continue to hang on with a lot of power. It's going to be a noisy storm, and we can take the radar full here. We're also noticing some tornado warnings along the leading edge as well. So you can see here on the satellite and radar, still very busy. So the activity that was over us is slowly pushing off to the east, and now this main line, this is the reason why we have a weather impact alert for this evening and tonight. The main line that the model data has been really latching on to for the last several days. And we kept talking about this being an overnight threat. This is why, this was supposed to be an after 10 p.m. through about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning event. We just had a lot of activity out ahead of it, and we still have many warnings along that leading edge. We are under a severe thunderstorm watch until 4 a.m. for all the highlighted counties in yellow, but once that leading edge of the storms rolls through your county, you are in the clear. We're just waiting for it to enter our area. You'll notice tornado watches off to our west, but we are looking at that wind threat with an isolated tornado threat. And as we mentioned off the top, we've been tracking flash flood warnings. We were talking about it on our continuous stream all evening, where we were dealing with a lot of reports of flooded roadways, submerged cars or stuck cars in flooded roadways in the Louisville metro area. And we still also have that flash flood warning from Paoli over to Madison, Indiana for now. Just off to the northwest, the polygons that are the big blocks of orange or yellow, those are severe thunderstorm warnings, and then within those, your tornado warnings. But zooming into the actual radar, we're seeing just more scattered activity. This is in between the first batch and the second batch of the main line. Here's that main line. You can see it with all the lightning, the heavy rainfall in the red, and also some very strong winds out along it as well. We've been seeing some isolated red polygons. Those are your tornado warnings embedded in there with any kind of rotation being picked up. But take a look at the 6-hour storm reports. So a lot of tree icons, that is your wind damage, a lot of flood icons in the Louisville metro area, and a few hails here or there with the storms that we had earlier in the afternoon and evening. So as we continue onward through tonight, we're watching that main line that will be cutting in from northwest to southeast. I think this is maybe a half hour or so too slow. Cutting into Louisville around 1 a.m., between 1 and 2 a.m., and then down to our south, out of here, continuing to weaken as it moves into a more unfavorable environment. Early tomorrow morning, losing its steam as it does so. Much of your Tuesday will be dry. We'll likely see some sunshine, and then we watch for some additional storms that are possible, especially along and south of the parkways tomorrow evening into tomorrow night. We could have some lingering showers early Wednesday for that morning commute. Otherwise, we start to get a quieter weather pattern in here. That includes for Thurby, temperatures starting to cool into the 60s with overnight lows in the 40s. For Oaks Day, we could see a passing shower or so in the really midday afternoon period. Derby looking dry and cool with overnight lows in the low 40s, and then we start to warm things up. And of course, a reminder, on an active day like today, you can stream the radar anytime on the WHAS 11 Plus app.
Right here next, we'll have an update on that house fire in Oldham County a little later, but also ahead, one of the contenders is just waiting to pounce on the competition for the Derby. A closer look at the Puma coming up next. I can
F. He's here.
Bruno San Martino.
Oh, just hanging out. All righty.
That's a year for Ken Spencer, a minute.
Check, check, check. So the main event comes in at 1?
Prepare the basement.
I know. For somebody who has to be up at the track. In the morning, yeah. But it'll be done raining by then, right? That's all I really care about. I'm there at 7:15.
The WHAS 11 Sports Report is sponsored by Peterman Brothers, the Midwest's expert HVAC, plumbing, and electrical services company.
When you look at the field for Kentucky Derby 152, it feels wide open when it comes to who could actually win on the first Saturday in May. As Serena Raboin shows us, you do not want to sleep on the Puma.
This is a predator on the hunt. The Puma is stalking Churchill Downs for a solid gold trophy.
We have the feeling that he's going to like it here. I mean, the track.
The colt turned heads at the Tampa Bay Derby when he won by almost a length. Now it's about going the distance.
He's been training for it for over the mile and a quarter. It's about conditioning also. It's about the horse, it's about conditioning also. And I think, you know, he's gonna show up big time. That's the key of this horse.
The Puma is trained by a father-son duo, Gustavo Delgado Jr. and Sr.
You know, it's a tough race. I watched all the horses train today, and they look good too. But you have to have a sense of gratitude, just the fact of being here, because it's not an easy thing to do.
The Delgados have had luck at this track before, winning with Mage in 2023. Now, as they prepare for Derby 152, they're trying to channel some of that luck by putting the Puma in the same exact stall.
So, you know, you always want to go to the places that you've been lucky.
And the Puma is hunting a second win.
That's what I like about him. You know, this horse is gonna fight if he comes with, you know, his A game. He already has seen all the horses like in his eye-to-eye kind of thing, and he's been beaten by some of them. He has beat some of them, so that's always good, and that's the exciting part about the race. It's gonna be competitive.
Reporting at Churchill Downs, I'm Serena Raboin, WHAS 11 on your side.
You know, it may have taken them a minute to get the first win, but after the Kings beat Dallas yesterday, right here on WHAS 11, they have now officially have a winning streak. Chris Redmond feels his team is still in the playoff hunt and have the ability to be one of the best teams in the UFL.
If we play right, you know, I feel like we can win any game, we can lose any game, you know, but it's just about execution, and today was, I thought, executed really well. But, you know, our guys are really excited to get back home. We want to get a home win in Louisville for our fans. We got a really, really tough team. St. Louis arguably could be the best team in the league this week. So we're real excited to get them at home this week, and an electric crowd. It'll be Derby week, and that's my hometown, and I know what Derby week's all about, so it's going to be a lot of fun. And
Louisville's Tate Davis launched his 26th home run of the season yesterday in the Cards' win over Clemson. Davis now has the new single-season home run record for Louisville, which was originally set in 1974.
Yeah, I never thought I'd do something like that coming in here, so it feels good to have done it. So, yeah, I just got no words right now.
All right, Doug, how about that?
All right, we have new images coming in of that home that was hit by a lightning strike there along the Ohio River in the Cardinal Harbor neighborhood. We'll have an update, that full story coming your way next.
The WHAS 11 Sports Report is sponsored by Peterman Brothers, the Midwest's expert HVAC plumbing and electrical services company.
Before we leave you, this photo just into us from the North Oldham Fire Department. This was our top story tonight. We told you about a lightning strike that hit this home. This is on Harbor View Court in the Cardinal Harbor neighborhood in Oldham County. It's right along the Ohio River. So thankful tonight that the family got out okay, but this home took a direct hit from a lightning strike. And then WHS 11 Night Team's Alex Dieterer and photojournalist Levi Hammer were on the scene tonight talking to the North Oldham Fire Chief, Jim Sohan.
When we first arrived, homeowner said his house was struck by lightning. He called 911.
North Oldham Fire arrived to this house fire along Harbor View Court along the Ohio River at around 7 Monday night.
But upon our arrival, the fire was already burned through the roof from one side of the house to the other.
Chief Jim Sohan says 46 firefighters responded to the fire that he says appears to be a total loss.
The roof collapsed into the second floor. Part of the second floor has collapsed into the first floor.
While firefighters were putting out the fire, the storm conditions didn't let up.
It rained the entire time, then we got a tornado warning.
Sohan says everyone inside the house got out safely and no firefighters were injured. Across Oldham County and Crestwood, miles away, storm debris can be seen here, like this tree on top of a house on Old Coach Road, and downed power lines on Carriage Hill Drive.
We had water rescues in the city reported because people were driving under viaducts. We've had many other reports of homes hit by lightning in southern Indiana, power outages. And it's been a frightening, devastating night for many people tonight.
Yeah, a lot of tree damage as well because we've had strong winds and we still have more on the way. The main line off to our northwest, currently moving close to Bedford, Indiana, will continue its track off to the southeast over the next several hours, likely impacting Louisville sometime during the 1 1 o'clock hour. And we're talking about strong winds, heavy rainfall, frequent lightning as well. So we have one current severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Lawrence County over to Jackson County. And we're likely going to continue to see that progress down to the southeast. Of course, we'll cut in as needed for any kind of additional tornado warnings tonight.
That's right. Mallory, John, Gordon, the rest of the Weather Impact team here with you throughout the night. Stay safe, everybody, and make sure you stay connected to WHAS 11.